I was down talking to the B girl there. She got just tattooed. Her car was all messed up. I'm like, what happened? And she got rear-ended the other day. So we were talking about that. And you know what every conversation in media turns to at some point down here.
Yeah.
Like she said, have you ever? I'm like, nope, never seen anything like it. I kind of told her quick. I said, I remember when they did the newspaper story. I go, that's a 1 compared to this, maybe a -1. Oh, crap. I got this up. I am just slacking this morning. Hey, like the Pittsburgh Steelers say, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this hump day. And boy, do we have a show to get over the hump with. There was nothing going on in the sports world. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I am good, David. Good morning. A little bit of hockey to watch last night, a little bit of college hoop to watch last night. OKC gets I don't know about revenge, but finally gets a decisive win over their nemesis this season, the Spurs. So pretty good little sports night. And anything else happen in the world? Anything else going on sports-wise?
Well, I was on an airplane. When I left the city of Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin was still their coach.
Right.
When I landed in Atlanta, he no longer was.
Fun fact for you, David. Since 1969, there have been twice as many popes
Yes.
as Steeler head coaches. For 2 Catholics and for the rest of you that don't care, I'm sorry. But there have been 6 popes since 1969. There have been 3 Pittsburgh Steeler head football coaches.
Yep. They're into continuity there.
Right. I mean, this you do get that Pope job for life, you know. I mean, Benedict shut it down. You know, he pulled a Tomlin and walked away.
He did. He's the only one.
Since the 13th century or some crap like that. Yes.
Yes. I mean, it's like getting a Supreme Court justice gig. I mean, nobody walks away from those suckers. You know, they basically die. That's how they're no longer a Supreme Court justice. But, yep. The night before at around 11:30, between 11:30 and midnight, he was asked, and he goes, I'm not thinking about it. All right. I'm just walked off the field. I'm still wrapped up in what we didn't get done and what have you. And hell, walked in lunchtime and, well, he had figured it out.
Gave him the key card and said, I'm out.
Yep. I don't know if he gave him the key card, though. I was thinking about that. Like, it doesn't sound like he worked the building, you know, thanked the secretaries, said goodbye to people. It sounds like he showed up, did the meeting. In the meeting, he said, I ain't coming back. We need to blow this thing up and start over, and I'm not going to be around for that. That doesn't interest me at all. It's time. You guys do what you got to do. I'm out of here. Now, what's interesting, you know, when Chuck Noll walked away, and he was kind of forced out, but when Chuck Noll, after 23 years, walked away, he never coached again. Much to everyone's surprise, when Bill Cowher walked away on his own after 15 years as head coach, he never coached again.
funny. He thought he would, by the way. He did a great interview with Dan Patrick yesterday. I was doing a lot of driving and caught it. And he said, obviously I think people all know his wife was sick and he was with family and a lot of things went on personally for him, but he still thought he was going to coach again. He didn't want to move. He had a daughter, I think was a sophomore in high school, wanted her to get through high school in one city and not move. But he intended, in his brain, he thought he was coaching again. And he got comfortable doing the TV gig and then met his now wife and just was having more fun, quite frankly.
Right.
But I did laugh the one part of, at the end of the interview, Dan Patrick says, "What are you going to do the rest of the day?" He goes, "I'm probably going to go watch some film. Probably going to drop a blitz or two." It's still there. That's the funny part.
Well, he talks football every day with our buddy Pat Kerwin.
Yep.
Every day they talk football. Yep.
So Mike Tomlin out. Mike Tomlin was hired before we had iPhones. I laughed about the key card. Think about it. He went from having a key to his office to having a key card, just all of the things that happened in the world during the tenure. And I don't mean political things and things of that nature, just the advancements in technology and what have you during the time Tomlin was the coach of the Steelers is pretty amazing. Long run.
19
and a great
years.
run.
Yep.
And most think a Hall of Fame run.
Oh, I don't see how it can. You can't put Bill Cowher in the Hall of Fame and not put Mike Tomlin.
100%.
So once they put Cowher in, you knew Tomlin was getting in. And we've said there's a little bit of a backlog of coaches. Tom Coughlin's won 2 Super Bowls. He ain't in. Mike Holmgren won a Super Bowl, went to 2 others, took 2 different teams to the Super Bowl. All right, he ain't in. Mike Shanahan's won 2 Super Bowls. He ain't in. Never mind Marty Schottenheimer and Dan Reeves, who, when they retired, were top 10 all-time in wins. And I think both still are. So, never mind the fact that obviously Belichick's going to get in. I expect him to get in the next 30 days. Andy Reid's going to get in. But, yeah, Mike Tomlin's going in the Hall of Fame.
No doubt. No doubt. And I do think the one thing you said very quickly, I don't want to say innocently, but very quickly, is that this seems to indicate to me, and I think by what you said to you as well, that they're going to blow this up in Pittsburgh.
I think so.
That they realize what needs to be done for this organization, or in the hockey mood that I'm in right now, this organization to move forward. Since the Lightning were in Pittsburgh last night,
Right. I hear you.
So
by the way,
11, by the way, for the Lightning. That's 11 in a row.
Yes, it is. By the way, the Penguins have refused to do, and the Steelers have refused to do, what probably needs to be done.
You're right. 100%. And part of the reason, and I don't know the reasons why Pittsburgh never did, whether it was trying to keep Tomlin on this streak of winning seasons, but the part of the reason that the Pens aren't doing it is that, well, their star doesn't want to leave Pittsburgh.
Right.
Their Hall of Famer that's on the ice every night. He doesn't want to leave.
And if they can't trade him, then
you got to do what you can to try to be as good as you can
around him.
And it's not good enough.
No, it is not.
But, the Lightning had that decision with Stamkos, and a lot of people were upset when they decided not to re-sign a guy who will go to the Hall of Fame.
Scored again last night.
Yeah, but he's certainly past his prime. He is someone that you can't build a franchise around for the money he makes.
No way.
So they made the tough decision. Now, it's a lot easier when you have a Vasilevsky, a Kucherov, a Hedman. It looks like Point's not out for the year, thank goodness.
Right.
A Hagel. I mean, my goodness, they're just playing great hockey right now. But We'll get to some of that later. But obviously, Mike Tomlin retires. Does this mean a new start, a rebuild for a team that for 19 years never thought about a rebuild?
Well, I'll be honest. I don't think the Steelers have rebuilt since Chuck Noll. I mean, I don't recall under Cowher them rebuilding. They had some disappointing years. I think he had a 7-win season and a 6-win season. But to me, they were always trying to win. And it was just a matter of, could they get competent quarterback play? You know, and we could go through the list from Neil O'Donnell to Cordell Stewart to, until they found Roethlisberger, they were Tommy Maddox. They were constantly searching for competent quarterback play, and they got it to varying degrees. Chuck Noll never rebuilt. He didn't. The year after Bradshaw retired, they went to the AFC Championship game. Chuck Noll still went to the playoffs. After the Steel Curtain guys retired, he still went to the playoffs like every other year.
And Cowher went to the playoffs and won playoff games with guys not named Ben Roethlisberger. Now,
right,
when they got him, it changed the dynamic of that franchise.
Yep. But
so,
and then there were 9.
Right.
Miller and Moulton, and when it comes to coaching, Moulton say a lot of crazy things. But remember when I said I think there's going to be 3 new coaches in the AFC North? Who thought the guy that was going to stick around the longest was Zach Taylor?
Well, congratulations to the cheapest franchise, who now has this longest tenured coach in the division. And by the way, do you know now who the longest tenured coach in the 4 major sports in North America is?
I do.
Let him have it, David.
Ooh.
Horseshack, go. There it is. There's our first. That's a 50-year-old reference, everybody. That's at least 45, probably 50. We stick to our guns on this show. Go ahead, Horseshack.
Who's that guy with the Miami Heat
There you go.
Who hasn't aged, by the way, a day since he's had the job?
Correct.
Eric Spoelstra,
longest tenured coach in North American sports after both Harbaugh and Tomlin, one fired, one stepping down here in the last few days.
By the way, is John Cooper second?
Ooh, I don't know the answer to that.
I'll bet he's top 3.
I gotta look that up. I gotta look it up during the break. You're gonna give me something to do instead of just run the board. Now I've got something to do a little digging on. I like it. Might even give us a list when we come back if I find it intriguing enough. I'll give you a list right now though, because we got a pretty damn good show lined up for you today. We will go to Pittsburgh. Ray Fittipaldo has been our guy in Pittsburgh for the last at least 5 years. He'll join us in the 7 o'clock hour. You know what we do on a hump day at 8. Seth Everett will join us at 8 o'clock. His Devils finally won a game yesterday. He'll be in a decent mood. And Bud Elliott, as we start previewing the Natty, talk a little portal with Bud, and Chris Perkins to talk the Dolphins. That's all ahead, plus the starting 5. 25 minutes away. Miller and Moulton on a hump day. Thanks so much for listening. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
He's third for what it's worth.
Cooper?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Well, it's I guess because he's tied for second because he's not going to get fired during the year.
Who's the other one?
Andy Reid.
Oh, it's funny. I thought Cooper was before Andy Reid.
Both 2013.
No, Johnny Mack, the Cincinnati coach, the only coach in that division who didn't get fired.
I think Bedsy's on the list of top 10. It didn't give me the list was wrong, so I had to do it by sport. So Spoelstra 08. I need to write this down.
I don't know, Tim. He'll do it if we ask.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for waking up with us. On this hump day, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X, the starting five and a little more than 15 minutes. Ray Fittipaldi in a little more than an hour, live from Pittsburgh, where it's the end of an era. Mike Tomlin walking away after 19 years as head coach of the Steelers. So Tomlin was 19, Harbaugh was 18, and they're both out. Speaking of Harbaugh, man, I thought Steve Biscotti was interesting yesterday. Did you see his comments?
I did.
First off, it's a great moment. He's conducting his presser when the news breaks that Tomlin has resigned. And Biscotti reacts in a very human way. He goes, seriously? Oh, blank. And then somebody said something to the effect of, well, would you hire him? And he starts laughing. And he said, only if John gets the Pittsburgh job.
Well, first off, that would be great. Either that, and I heard someone else suggest the two of them should start a podcast together.
But he was very honest. I mean, the Baltimore media asked some good questions. I thought the best question was, so if Tyler Loop makes the field goal against the Steelers, is John Harbaugh still the coach? And Biscotti, without hesitation, smiled and said, for another week. And then went on to say, listen, it was painful, but I was the one that made the decision. I just felt we had blown too many fourth quarter leads, too many playoff disappointments, certain people not performing the way I thought they should have performed. I just thought we needed a change.
I give him a ton of credit because we all know he was the reason. It was out there from the get-go that he went in front of the microphone and did what he did.
Yes.
He didn't really have to. The owners don't have to do a damn thing. They don't. Fans and media think that they owe it to us, but and I guess maybe they do, but it doesn't mean they're going to. And to not just issue a statement, to go take questions, I appreciate that.
The other thing that he said, Mark, is that basically the Ravens will be for sale within the next 15 years. He said, I'm not handing it down. He said, first off, it divides families. And he said, and secondly, normally it doesn't go well for the franchise if somebody else in the family who doesn't care as much as the first owner, then they get it. And he said, no. He said, I'm not going to be handing it down within my family. And the other thing he said is that he used him by name. He said, yeah, I'm not going to be Jerry Jones. He said he was 83 years old and announced the other day he'd give up a body part to win another Super Bowl. Biscotti goes, yeah, that ain't going to be me. Which I thought was interesting. I mean, we only have 32 of these suckers. They don't come up for sale very often. And Steve Biscotti just said, well, within the next 15 years, I'm selling this team, and I'd bet the under.
I hope his kids didn't find out that he's selling the team the same way that Harbaugh found out he wasn't going to be the coach next year. By the way, just quickly here, Spoelstra, the longest tenured coach. And I gave David the next two, so I'm not going to play the game with David. But Andy Reid and John Cooper both began their careers in 2013.
See, and I thought Cooper,
not careers, their current jobs.
Right. And I thought Cooper had, beat Andy Reid, so that's why I thought he was second. But okay, we'll give him T2.
Steve Kerr, 2014.
Oh, that's right.
Kevin Cash, 2015.
Wow.
I mean, the fact that 3 of these are in Florida is pretty amazing. When I looked this up, I kind of didn't even think that.
But yeah,
Robert's a year later with the Dodgers, and our buddy Jared Bednar started in Colorado in 2016.
Well, yeah, because after Andy Reid, the next longest tenured NFL head coach didn't start till 2017. There's a trio that all started at the same time. McDermott, McVay, and Shanahan with the Niners.
Right.
But yeah, that's true. It's interesting. You go back. Remember, Joe Madden was still under contract with the Rays. Okay, and they kind of worked it out. Joe was nearing the end of his contract, and he wanted to go somewhere where he could win. And then he and the Cubs did just that.
So that's your top 7, basically. That's the guys that have been there the longest. A couple from each sport, 1 from football. We just gave you the next list in football. So that's the longest. But Spo is the longest current tenured coach. He began in 2008. 5 years before Reid and Cooper started their jobs with the Chiefs and the Lightning.
Famous story. So let's see. He started in 2008. LeBron stayed with Cleveland through the 2010 season. So LeBron in July of 2010 took his talents to South Beach. And remember, it wasn't working early on. Weren't they like 8-9 or something like that?
That sounds right. I remember them being 8-8. If they lost it, I just remember 8-8 for some reason sticks out in my head.
And I thought they were below 500 when they went, ironically enough, to Cleveland. And they started gelling that night. But shortly before that, apparently LeBron went to Riley and was like, this ain't working. And Riley said to LeBron, well, the coach ain't going anywhere. So you all better figure it out. And a lot of people took that as LeBron's way of trying to see, whether or not he could influence change and, pull a Magic, who had done it a few times during his tenure with the Lakers. And Riley just shut him down. Said, well, he ain't going anywhere. So figure it out. But Mike Tomlin walked away 19 years, and you're right, Mark. When you start going through like society, I mean, Nick Saban was hired as head coach of Alabama 3 weeks before Mike Tomlin was hired as head coach of the Steelers. So they basically both coached their first game, within days of one another. And Tomlin was a surprise pick, a controversial pick in Pittsburgh, because didn't they have Malarkey and Russ Grimm on staff, on Cowher's staff, and both wanted the gig, both interviewed, and the thought was that, one of the in-house guys was going to get it.
Yeah. And, that was a big shock because they then left and Pittsburgh's always been thinking out of the box when they've hired coaches.
Yes.
I mean, going back to Noel. I mean, this is so.
I don't think Cowher was a coordinator either. I thought he was a position coach when Pittsburgh hired him from Cleveland. And Tomlin wasn't a coordinator because wasn't he with Tampa? Or had he moved over to the Vikings? But I didn't think he was a coordinator. I thought he was like a linebackers coach.
I think he was with the Vikings, but I don't know the answer to that. Trying to figure out what I had for lunch yesterday, and you're asking me what he was doing 20 years ago.
I know.
If it was a TV show reference, I'd have it for you.
That's true. And musically, you definitely would have had it.
Right.
So my bad. Asking about coordinators 20 years ago. That's on me.
Yeah, now we know David's going to be busy during the break looking it up. But I do think he's right that he was with the Vikings. So Tomlin out, Harbaugh out, 2 more jobs now available. And, obviously Baltimore's the better job right now. We all know that. They have the quarterback. And what type of reset will Pittsburgh have going forward? And will Tomlin or Harbaugh, we think Harbaugh is going to coach next year. Will Tomlin go to the broadcast booth, or will he go back to coaching? The starting 5 is next.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Spring training is a big win for Lee County. Beginning next month, we will proudly host the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins right here in Southwest Florida. It's more than great baseball. It's jobs, visitors, and $69 million in tourism impact for our local economy. Get your tickets at RedSox.com and Twins.com. Be part of something that strengthens our community. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Thank God for Kansas. System took it on the chin last night, 1-2. But did you see the halftime? I think it was the halftime score, David.
They were up like 22, weren't they?
It was, and I don't know if it was halftime, but late first half, it was 42-18, David.
Yeah, I think, let's see. Yeah, they led by 21 at the half. I thought it was 45-24.
Okay, so they made a little run late. All right.
Something like that. But yeah, they didn't score many in the first half.
No. And Seton Hall just screwed us. They got into the top 25. They covered.
Right.
But Alabama and Florida, who wasn't ranked and just was pounding ranked teams while they were Do you guys, first off, that is one of the funniest questions that's ever been asked of this show. And by the way, a lot of you were talking, the odds are we won't have Roy on tomorrow. We had Roy on last week. We kind of did our post-mortem with the Bucks. Unless they fire Bowles between now and the start of the show, there's really no need to have Roy on until we get closer to free agency and the draft.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to hire a new OC and what have you. Okay. If Evans and Levante David move on.
Yeah, I mean, there are you're right. There are a few things that could happen between now and then, but us bringing chicks into the studio is literally the funniest thing I've ever seen. I mean, combined, we're 116 years old, and we act 212.
And combined, we've been married 42 years.
Right. Oh, good God. I was thinking of your wife yesterday because my wife had seen the show when I was doing Today Was the Day When. I didn't include it, but it was today, I don't know, whatever year that Bon Jovi made his first of like 8 appearances on the Ally McBeal show, where he ended up being her boyfriend on the show. He was a plumber. And I never knew. So I'm like, as I said to her, I go, did you watch Ally McBeal show? I go, so you knew Bon Jovi show? Oh, yeah. I mean, oh, yeah. And I'm like, of course you did. Of course you did.
Mm-hmm. DC, that is true. We should just bring Roy on one time, and all he does is tell Jim Leland stories.
And he can get excited about the Cubs. I was going back and forth with our buddy Butera and DMs the other day, and I kind of finished with him. How about your Cubbies making some moves? Because he was taking offense to the shots that workers were getting about what's going on here locally. He's like, hey, man, they're making $25,000 a year, and they think they might be next. Don't attack them.
Yeah.
And he's right.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. 1 hour away from heading back to Pittsburgh to talk with Ray Fittipaldo, Seth Everett, Bud Elliott, Chris Perkins, our regular hump day guests during football season. They'll join us as well here on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X.
You're gonna have to get busy here pretty quickly. I mean, because our football season's pretty locked in. We kind of, unless something breaks, like Ray Fittipaldo today, unless something breaks, our guest list is pretty much done from September through mid-January.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm well aware. Oh,
you got to get busy.
Yep.
But the good news is one job for you is about to end, so you'll have a little more time.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
I mean, what do you mean? Why fantastic? Don't. Wow.
No, I'm done. No, you're right. I shouldn't have reacted that way because I'm tired. I need the.
You're a West Coast guy. I mean,
listen. We thought we were headed back west. I thought we were going to Seattle. They thought they were going to Denver.
I thought for sure you were. I just thought the way this year's gone for you with between the Big Ten and the Monday Night Football games out west, I thought for sure you had the Seattle Niner rematch. So I would have bet on it, as a matter of fact.
So the final countdown was 10 games in the Pacific time zone and 2 in the Mountain between the Big Ten on CBS and Monday Night Football. And there was only one weekend in which the Saturday and the Monday kind of coincided.
Right. I mean, that was the hard part because it was never
Never.
LA and Oregon in the same
No,
weekend. It was
never.
a Michigan State followed by an LA
Yep.
or an Oregon followed by New England or whatever the hell the case may have been.
Yep. But we'll be in New England on Sunday, but plenty of time for that. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
brought to you by Lee County, Florida, building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism. And then there were 9. Mike Tomlin resigning as head coach of the Steelers. He had been there 19 years, no losing ones, 13 trips to the playoffs, went to the Super Bowl twice, won Super Bowl 43 in Tampa, 203 wins in those 19 years, 8-12 record in the playoffs because he and they lost their last 7 playoff games. Lost the AFC Championship game in the 2016 season to the Patriots, and then had 6 one-and-dones. Mike Tomlin, will he coach again? The thought is he's not going to coach this year. He had 2 years remaining on his Steelers contract. Will he go into television? He joked a few years ago that is the dark side and he would never do it. I don't know.
A lot of money.
Serious money around.
More than you make coaching, by the way.
Yeah. There's no doubt. There's a few networks that would easily pay him more than what he was making in Pittsburgh.
By the way, Fox, your whole crew's really old. I'm just saying.
Oh, trust me, they're considered the leaders in the clubhouse. So Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland, Miami, Tennessee, Las Vegas, 6 AFC jobs open, along with the Giants, the Falcons, and the Cardinals. In the NFC, 9 vacancies in the NFL. Ravens owner Steve Biscotti talked yesterday, said a lot of interesting things. I think the most interesting was if the Ravens had made the field goal and beaten the Steelers and won the division, would John Harbaugh still be the coach? And Biscotti said for another week that he had come to the determination in the final weeks of the season that change was needed. Eagles, it's out there that he was fired, but Nick Sirianni's his buddy, and he's actually willing to just demote him and still keep him on staff. But offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo is no longer calling the plays in Philly. And an interesting decision by Jim Harbaugh. He's been an NFL head coach for 6 seasons. 4 in San Francisco, and now 2 in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Greg Roman has been his offensive coordinator for all 6 seasons. Harbaugh fired him yesterday. So Harbaugh will have a different play caller in the NFL than he's ever had before next year. The Broncos getting some good injury news. They expect to have linebacker Dre Greenlaw back Saturday against the Bills. The Bills, by the way, getting no good injury news. None. Their injury list is in the area code of San Francisco's. Not quite, but in the area code. Niners may get Fred Warner back, however. They opened up his 21-day practice window, so he's going to practice this week, although they even said they're not going to practice much this week. Bunch of walkthroughs. But they think if they can beat Seattle and make it to the NFC Championship game, that Fred Warner will play in it for the Niners. College football news, Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq declares for the draft. He's just 20 years old. He's considered the top tight end. He could go in the top 10. I think he's going to go just a touch later. He is a freak physically, a freak. That is a big ball of clay. He could be amazing at the next level, Kenyon Sadiq. Ohio State tight end Max Clare also declaring for the NFL draft. Did you see what the FBS coaches voted on yesterday? They met for a couple days. They were trying to work on the calendar. They got off track and they ended up talking about players' eligibility. So now you can play up to possibly 9 games and still not lose a year's eligibility. But they broke it down. They said you can play 4 regular season, but then you could play the entire playoffs.
I'm sorry. That means you'd play over half the season. How can you not burn a year of eligibility?
So that's what the FBS coaches were seriously debating, whether or not to just give football players 5 years of eligibility, but they thought it might get challenged in the courts. Now, this is not final. This still has to get approved by an NCAA, but the coaches met, and this is what they forwarded to the NCAA. TV ratings in for the national semis. We talked about the Ole Miss Miami rating yesterday of 15.8 million. That is not good. Well, Indiana, Oregon did 18 million. So very disappointing semifinal ratings compared to the quarterfinal ratings, compared to last year's semifinal ratings. And a few people are worried as to how the Indiana-Miami game is going to do Monday. I think it's going to do fine because I think the Indiana story is huge. College hoops. Second-ranked Iowa State lost. They were set up to lose.
Boy, were they ever. Kansas gets dropped out of the top 25, and they're hosting Iowa State.
Yeah.
Kansas probably deserved to be taken out of the top 25, but you could see that one coming.
And Kansas led by 21 at the half and won by 21, 84-63. Iowa State 16-1. Nebraska, meanwhile, still unbeaten. They're a perfect 17-0. They beat Oregon by 35 at home. Few system plays. Bama covered on the road. They were down 14 with 7 minutes to go in the first half. They ended the first half and began the second half with a combined 34-7 run. Bama beat Mississippi State on the road by 15. Florida beat Oklahoma on the road by 17, their third straight win. UConn, they've won 13 in a row of the Huskies. They're number 3 in the country and moving up. They beat Seton Hall 69-64. Virginia over Louisville in a battle of ranked teams 79-70. Your Spartans throttled Indiana and East Lansing 81-60.
And it was reasonably close at the half, and Sparty just ran away in the second half.
Couple nominees for games of the night. In Knoxville, the Vols in 2 overtimes beat A&M 87-82. Best ending of the night, however, in Minneapolis. Gophers hit a 3 to tie it with 5 seconds to go. Wisconsin dribbles it down and hits a 3 at the buzzer to win 78-75. Miami improved to 15-2. They beat Notre Dame by 12.
Watch out for the Badgers. Sorry to interrupt. That's 3 in a row. They beat UCLA. They beat Michigan. Now they went on the road. And that's 3 road games in a row, by the way, for Wisconsin. They may have found a little something.
Florida State fell to 7-10. They lost by 8 at Syracuse. And 7th-ranked Houston, they improved to 16-1. They beat West Virginia by 29. 7 games in the NBA. Adebayo with 29 points, 9 rebounds for the Heat. They held off the Suns 127-121. Oklahoma City had lost the first 3 times they played the Spurs this year. They were a little annoyed yesterday. They beat them by 21, SGA at 34. Lakers snap a 3-game skid. LeBron nearly with a triple-double. Lakers by 25 over the Hawks. Denver, without the big fella, they're winning games. Jamal Murray, 35 points, 9 assists. Went into New Orleans, beat the Pelicans by 6. This is a really bad sign. The T-Wolves played without Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, and Milwaukee played with Giannis at home, and the T-Wolves beat the Bucks by 33. Yikes. KD with 28, Houston over the Bulls by 6. Golden State up 25 at the half, beat Portland 119-97. 10 games in the NHL. The Lightning have won 11 in a row. And it goes to 11. 2-1 in a shootout over the Penguins. Kucherov, the game-winning goal in the shootout. Very impressive back-to-back nights, and the Lightning gutted out because the game was scoreless in the third. Washington 3-2 in overtime over Montreal. They scored 2 in the third to tie it and then won it. Boston got 24 saves from Jeremy Swayman, in a 3-0 shutout of the Wings. Stamkos scored, number 602, but Nashville in overtime beat Edmonton 4-3. Utah slowed down the Maple Leafs 6-1. That had to be a little hangover after the gutty overtime win in Colorado the night before. Winnipeg's won 3 straight. They beat the Islanders 5-4. Anaheim 3-1 over Dallas. St. Louis shuts out Carolina 3-0. Rick Bowness, unretired, became the coach of Columbus yesterday.
Yeah, what happened in his first game coaching after a fired coach, David?
They won.
I'll be
3 in the third for the Blue Jackets. They beat Calgary 5-3. And Ottawa snapped the 4-game skid 2-1 over Vancouver. John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and Cameron Smith, they were given the invitation by the PGA Tour to rejoin the tour. And they all said, no, we're good. We're
Did
sticking
you
with
hear
LIV.
Bryson's answer when asked about Koepka at the Live presser yesterday?
No.
He kind of went political, or Belichick, or whatever you want to say, asked about Koepka leaving and his thoughts on it, and his answer was, I'm focusing on the event this week. Okay.
Boy, he very rarely.
Exactly.
Very rarely does he go no comment.
Exactly.
Baseball, Cardinals trade Nolan Arenado to Arizona. He has 2 years and $42 million left on his deal. The Cardinals are paying 31 of the $42 million. Yikes. They wanted to get rid of him. Yankees acquire lefty starter Ryan Weathers from the Marlins. He was injured, pitched 38 innings last year for Miami. They gave up 4 prospects, including a really good outfield prospect at the Yankees. Royals, they analyzed their stadium. They found out it's not neutral. It's too much of a pitcher's park. Stadium's a little too big. The wall's a little too high. So they moved in the fences 10 feet, lowered the walls. They say now the ballpark will be, quote, neutral. We'll see. We'll see. And at 7 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories you need to know, brought to you by Lee County, Florida, building a better community through BST. It's a proven winning method of business, sports, and tourism.
Miller and Moulton. We'll talk some Steelers next hour. Seth Everett, Bud Elliott, Chris Perkins, all ahead.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, Tim, our first show together was July 24th of 06. But Mark got let go first. I got let go 6 months later. And then we spent 14 months off the air together. And we reunited around Labor Day of 2017. And then when we got let go from that gig, we were off the air for about 2 months, 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. So it'll be, July 24th, 06, but there was about 16 months in the middle of the 20 years where we were off the air. Did she smile or did she shake her head in disgust, Johnny Mac? So is that like a married anniversary where it's still 20 years even if you separated? I mean, it wasn't our decision, by the way. It'd be 20 years if it was up to us.
Dead air.
Knew it as soon as I saw the headline. I said, well, it's over. Is this getting like bold print in the paper?
There's still a paper in this town?
Oh, hello. Let me ask you this. Is the other TV conglomerate reporting on it?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Ray Fittipaldo from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette will join us coming up in about 35 minutes' time to talk about the big sports story yesterday of Mike Tomlin walking away from the Steelers after 19 years. By the way, I think he did the right thing. And obviously, we don't know everything, but I think he did the right thing. He's not up for a rebuild, and deep down, he knows they need it. What they have needs to be broken up. They need to make some hard choices, and they ain't going to have a quarterback next year. Right now, the best they'd have under contract's Mason Rudolph. And we've talked about it. This is not the offseason to go get a quarterback. The pickings are a slim between the draft and free agency. So if you need a quarterback heading into this offseason and you don't have much of an option on your current roster, oh boy, it could be tough. And so I think this gives Khan, the Steelers GM, and Mr. Rooney, I think Mr. Rooney needs to go public and tell the fan base, listen, you know it, we know it. We pushed it as far and as long as we could. We got to retool, and we may experience some un-Steelers-like seasons because of it.
You know, you're right. But one of the things, and look, I think they all want to do it, but, you know, Cowher yesterday was talking like you still have to continue the culture until you get the quarterback, so that when the quarterback gets there, you're not starting over again, if you know what I mean. And at the end of the day, David, we've talked about this for since we've been doing a show. If you don't have the quarterback, then you're a rebuilding franchise. I don't care who you are.
Right. I think you can bring the culture back, though, very quickly. I mean, look at New England. Now, granted, it was only, 1 year removed from Belichick? And now here's Vrabel. And I don't know if there's a Steeler playing or coaching great, who could end up being the guy down the road to bring it all back with the new quarterback. But, I mean, you need a little bit of luck. But I think the 27 draft is the draft to, I don't want to say tank for, but if you're going to have a down year and be in a better position to get your hands on a quarterback, that's not a bad place. The Bills got Josh Allen at 7. The Steelers got Roethlisberger at what? Was it 9, 11?
I was going to guess 11, but you might be right at 9. I thought it was just outside the top 10.
So,
but I think there are other, yes, they have to get the quarterback. But here's the first question I think you've got to ask the people running the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're paying a couple of defensive guys a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
One's, Hayward, I don't know if you can trade. He's old. I mean, he's still good.
Yeah, he is.
But for what he's making, can you move him? I don't know. But don't you have to really consider moving Watt right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I don't know if you can, because you know, in the whole pass rushing edge off season where it was you and it was Garrett and, you know, the 3 big contracts got handed out and you handed out one of them. I don't know if you can move that contract. Because remember, it's just like cutting a guy. You trade a guy, whatever outstanding bonus money you have immediately gets thrown onto the cap immediately. While he's still on your roster, you get to spread that sucker out over the length of the contract. But the minute he's no longer on your roster, whether you're cutting him or you're trading him, boom, that all goes on your cap.
Which is why that I believe it's going to be tough. They can do it, but it's going to be tough for the Eagles to move from A.J. Brown. There's a pretty big dead cap hit there.
Mm-hmm.
Really big, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. But in their case, they may have to because, well, they got too many guys that aren't talking to one another. And we don't know if any of them are talking to him.
So that's it's really easy, whether it's Miller or Moulton or you guys listening to the show. By the way, Pelican Roofing of Florida text line wide open, 21,000 the number, Miller the keyword. But it's really easy for you to text the show or for us to say, get rid of this guy, trade that guy, whatever the case may be. It's much harder on the inside. I mean, we can just look at the Dolphins right now. They're going to move on from Tua. We get it. But they're in cap hell for 2 years. Between Tyreek and Tua, it's really going to be difficult for Miami to field a good team next year.
Yeah, I think they're in hell for 26. I think they can just be not in ideal shape for 27.
Correct. You're right. And whoever gets this job, and it is the one good thing about Stephen Ross, he's given his coaches and his general managers time. What they've done with it is less than desirable, but whoever gets the job will have time. The new GM will have time to fix what's a bad situation. But Pittsburgh could run into the same thing. If they want to get rid of Watt, how much of that are they going to eat? And how much is it going to affect them on the cap? Eagles and Browns, and A.J. Brown, same thing.
All right, I'm about to ask a sacrilegious question. But we have 9 openings. And when we had 7 openings and when we had 8 openings, a lot of people were like, rank the openings. Okay, let's be brutally honest. Let's take at least a little bit of sentiment out of the equation. Let's talk reality. Let's talk the Steelers' job. And we all know in one sense, it's royalty. It's a regal franchise. It's regal ownership. It's an amazing fan base. They don't have a quarterback.
And they're old on their best players are old and overpaid on defense. They are.
By the way, no team has more money spent on the cap on defense than the Steelers, and they've had it for 4 straight years. Seriously, going forward, no quarterback, not a great cap situation, not awful, but not ideal, and a flawed roster. How great of a job is it? Now, it's better in Arizona, okay? It's better than Miami. It's better than Cleveland, just in terms of,
I mean, Baltimore's the best job because you've got Lamar. That goes without saying. That's number one, right?
Yeah.
And that's easy.
Yes, Baltimore's the best job.
So we got the Giants, Tennessee, Arizona, Miami, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Vegas, and Atlanta, right?
Well, like I said, you can take Arizona, you can take Cleveland, okay, and you could just take them right off and Miami. You just take the Steelers' job is obviously better than those three, okay? But, and remember, we're not talking the franchise. The franchise is the best franchise on the list. It is. It's the greatest franchise on the list. That's not debatable. But in terms of a job,
that goes into the whole package when you're ranking it against the other jobs that aren't good. That'll push it ahead. The teams that you listed, that's why you put it ahead of that. Ownership, heritage, all of those things.
right.
But what job's better, the Giants job or the Pittsburgh job? I think right now today, the Giants job's better.
Now, the Steelers franchise is better, but the Giants, they're going to have cap room. They got a young quarterback. They actually have a fairly talented roster that was very poorly coached last year, particularly on the defensive side of the ball.
Atlanta or Pittsburgh? I would say at this moment in time, Atlanta.
There are a lot of people that think outside of Baltimore, Atlanta's the best job on the board. Now, we can debate it, obviously.
But then I think it might be Pittsburgh because Vegas or Pittsburgh. And I know Vegas, you're going to get the first overall pick. So that's going to be attractive to coaches.
Well, not only that, you're going to have $110 million in cap space. And you're going to have Mendoza, Genti, and Brock Bowers on the team. You've got the money to repair whatever holes you have. I mean, you really do.
So would you take the Vegas job before the Pittsburgh job?
Absolutely, I would. Even though I'm entering that division. But yes, I would take the Raiders job.
But then out of Tennessee, Arizona, and I know you already mentioned Cleveland, Vegas, Miami. So Pittsburgh's fourth on the list?
Well, like I said, Arizona, Miami, Cleveland, that's, to me, those are the bottom three jobs available.
Would you take the Tennessee job before the Pittsburgh job?
I wouldn't because I'm sorry. I think the ownership is the worst situation in the league.
Thank you. And that factors into it.
Which is a shame because I'm in on Cam Ward and they have $114 million in cap space and they are opening a new stadium in 2 years. Okay. I mean, and that's a winnable division. It is. Nobody stays really good for a long period of time unless Peyton Manning's their quarterback in that division. So,
although I would argue that, look, we'll see about Jacksonville. We will. I want to be, and I'm not saying that they're going to be good or bad. I want David's comment to be wrong, even though it's right at this moment in time. I want to look back at that statement and go, well, this division's a lot harder than we thought. But I think Houston's got a good franchise. I think they've figured it out.
3 really good years in a row here. And a
really good coach. A really good coach.
Yeah.
He looks like he knows what he's doing. So,
if you're not buying Penix, if you're not buying Dart and the Giants, you're not buying Cam Ward, you're not going to buy Mendoza and what they got lined up in Vegas, then yeah, Pittsburgh's a top 3 job. It's certainly a top 3 franchise in the league. But is it a top job for 2026? Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
This is Miller and Moulton.
What was it? Assigned something from all 28 guys who picked off his passes his rookie year.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Ray Fittipaldo, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. We'll talk about how it's being received in Pittsburgh. A surprise? Was it time? Can they handle a rebuild? Ray Fittipaldo in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Can I go off the reservation, so to speak?
Absolutely.
So you and I are both baseball fans. I'm probably a little bigger than you, but we're both pretty big baseball fans. And goodness knows we're in baseball's demographic of 56 and 60. And I know baseball's gotten a little younger here the last couple of years, but come on, there's a little humor behind that. Manfred has come out and said a few things in the last couple of weeks. Well, he said quite a few things, but one of them is we got to work on our off season. We've got the worst off season of the major sports, and it ain't close. We need like a designated signing period. We need to create some excitement. And he talks about the NFL. He talks about the NBA. And he goes, I want to make it like a month. And that's it. Everybody's got to sign everybody in a month. And if you think about it, Mark, the NBA plays until roughly Father's Day. Sometimes they play, quite a few days after it. But, Game 7 of the finals has also been on Father's Day recently. So you've got 2 weeks tops till July 1st, usually, and NBA free agency. And it's like the running of the bulls in Spain. I mean, when July 1st hits. The league's ready to go. Everybody signed within 5 days. And then everybody gets to enjoy their offseason. Fans included. Look at baseball. I mean, you have 5 business days after the World Series ends. And that's when the offseason officially begins. You can sign someone 5 business days after Game 7 of the World Series. And once again, the biggest free agents are still on the board 2.5 months later. And because baseball's a trickle-down sport, the other guys are waiting. I want to see what they get before I sign.
Well, first off, I don't know, is there anything in the current CBA? I mean, would this be something, if they wanted to change it, that would have to be collectively bargained?
Correct.
So there's the problem, because I don't even care who's running the union. There's one agent running this whole damn sport. It's Boris.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you could, and Boris is going to tell all his clients, and what they then tell the rank and file as we go into next offseason, when there's going to be a lockout. Right? We've only been saying this for 3 years, David?
Mm-hmm.
At least 2. And look at it, you hear our ads. We have Lee County who works with us. And we know the folks from the county.
We told them at our fantasy summit. They were at it. So we told them 5 months ago, we said, you do know you're not going to have spring training in 2027, right? Okay, you need to plan accordingly right now. I mean, not a day.
I got a DM from a friend of mine who our kids have played sports together, and he listens to the show. He works in the turf business and deals mostly with golf courses in Southwest Florida. But he does deal with the spring training venues.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, asking for selfish reasons here. We going to have spring training? And he had a lot of stuff to say. I'm like, no.
No.
The simple answer is no.
No.
Plan accordingly.
No.
And it's for those of us in Florida, whether you're listening in the Tampa market, Port Charlotte market, Southwest Florida market, spring training ain't happening in 2027. It ain't.
No, it's not. I don't know how much of the season's going to happen. But when they do finally get around to playing, they're going to bring all the guys to where they are, and they're going to work out for 2 weeks, and then they're going to start playing. They ain't going to Florida or Arizona. That ain't happening.
You know, maybe, and I don't think there'd be games. Maybe they would send them there because of weather for a week or two. But by the time this gets done, the weather will have broken in most of the major league cities. So it is highly unlikely. So how much weight, in your opinion, David, does Boris have essentially with the union? You know, he controls the best and biggest players.
Well,
so then, you know, what does that mean as far as these negotiations? Is this something, first off, you know, if Manfred wants it, remember, Rob Manfred, I think he's been good for baseball. Seth's coming on our show in a half hour. He hates him. But I think Manfred's been good for the sport. It's hard to argue the changes he's made haven't been positive for the sport. We'd all like the ball and play more. We all would. I get it. But right now, with the way pitching is, it doesn't seem like that's happening anytime soon. But the sport's faster. There are more people watching. The sport has a lot of good momentum going forward right now.
Right. Now, it's why this ties in. Manfred is really going at the core of whatever dispute there is amongst the players. This is it. Major League Baseball is a lot like the PGA Tour, Mark. You got those that are represented by Boris that are getting all the big contracts, and then you got everybody else. And the union leadership, it's 50-50 split as to who's on it. The big cats and the rank and file. Manfred is appealing to the rank and file. When he talks salary cap, he looks at the rank and file. He goes, you're going to make a lot more money than you're making now.
Now, he also, though, pisses off the bottom half of the owners who don't want to spend what would be the floor. So Manfred's fighting this on two fronts.
Yes.
Not just with the rank and file. He's fighting it with the owners as well, not the big owners, because I believe the Yankees, Dodgers, Phillies, Cubs, Red Sox would all agree to a salary cap. It's the bottom owners that would never agree to a floor.
I don't agree all those teams would, but that's for another day. As for Manfred and hey, we got to create some excitement. Also, we got to get our business done. Okay. You know, everybody needs to know where they're playing and what they're making and what have you going forward. We got to get this house in order. And we got to do it a lot faster than it is now. All right. That's also a rank and file versus top of the free agency debate in amongst the union. Also, because there's a lot more, like in football, so many people on 1 year contracts. In baseball, got a lot more people on 1 year contracts than you do getting the big bucks and waiting for the 6 years, $300 million. So I agree with Manfred. I think baseball, listen, if the NBA within 2 weeks of the finals ending, and sometimes it's like 8 days after the finals, and all 30 teams seem ready to go and they can do their rosters and still go and barbecue on July 4th. Okay. I mean, the NFL teams are ready to go second week of March, aren't they?
Yes, there are players on the bottom end that linger on for a while in both sports, but the heat of the free agency happens quickly in the NFL and in the NBA. We all know about it. We all pay attention to it. It's a news story. In baseball, it's dragged on throughout the offseason, and they don't have – it used to be the hot stove league. There's not much of one anymore.
No. They have owners' meetings, winter meetings, the whole deal. Nothing happens. People have stopped going to cover it because there's like, well, nothing ever happens at these things. And I'm just wondering – I think Manfred's right. Now, here's my question. When are you doing it? Because – you're doing it during football season. I mean, it's easier for basketball. They create 5 days of excitement up against baseball. You're baseball. You're trying to create excitement going up against football. When do you want to do it? November, December, January?
I'd do it in November. I really would, because I think that's the time. You don't want to do it up against the playoffs. Speaking of football, we'll talk Steelers next. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With real cards and real dealers 24/7, this is the place where the action never ends. Now you can bet on your favorite team, roll the dice on craps, or spin the wheel for roulette. We've got your game. Plus, the Zigzag Girls Blackjack Pit features nonstop excitement and free drinks while you play. This is Seminole Casino Hotel, minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Faro and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Faro and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Faro and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Spring training is a big win for Lee County. Beginning next month, we will proudly host the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins right here in Southwest Florida. It's more than great baseball. It's jobs, visitors, and $69 million in tourism impact for our local economy. Get your tickets at redsox.com and twins.com. Be part of something that strengthens our community. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Mark, I'm curious. I'm not disputing what you say there, but you said the changes Manfred made were reactionary when he failed to take control originally. I'm curious what control are you saying he should have taken, and what control could he have taken? I'm just curious. I'm not at all disputing what you're saying. I want more out of you. That's all. I know people come and go listening, but it's funny because that Mark there made a comment about Manfred Maber and I said, I read it, and I'm like, hey, give me more. What was he supposed to take control of? And I know people leave. It's like, you have me intrigued with your comment. I want more. I'm not challenging you. And then I know people leave, and it's like, well, son of a. Besides, Mark, you're kind of a new chatter. I know what everybody else thinks. They do this every day for hours. We're good with Ray. He's a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Seth Everett will join us then. Bud Elliott, 1 hour from now. Chris Perkins will kick off our bonus hour at 9 a.m. Eastern. Ray Fittipaldo is kind enough to join us once again. Pittsburgh Post-Gazette covers the Steelers for a living. Boy, nothing going on that beat. Follow Ray on X at Ray Fit with 2 T's and the number 1. Ray Fit 1. Ray, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. I flew out of Pittsburgh at 1:55 yesterday. I just missed the big news. How is it being received?
Well, I think nationally, I think a lot of people are, praising Mike Tomlin and noting his excellent tenure, and that's all very true. But if you're asking about the fan reaction, I think most of the fans would agree that it was time for a change. 7 consecutive playoff defeats. Only one other coach in NFL history ever did that. That was Marvin Lewis of Cincinnati. So Mike had a great first half of his tenure. He was at one point, he won a Super Bowl in his second year, took him to another Super Bowl in his fourth year. But really, I would say the second half of his tenure, 3-11 in the playoffs. He only won a playoff game in 4 of his 19 seasons. So for the fan base, I think they're excited to move on, and what they're looking forward to now is who does the Rooney family hire to replace a legend in that seat.
My family's from Pittsburgh, so I was texting with my brother-in-law yesterday, and he used the word that the local media was giddy about it. And that's an interesting choice of words to me, and also that there were many that thought the game passed him by. I don't think that. The last few years with Ben, they didn't have a quarterback, and since Ben's been gone, they haven't had a quarterback. Did the organization make a mistake not rebuilding at some point and trying to just keep pushing forward what at best was an average roster?
Yeah, that's an interesting discussion. The Rooney family and the front office, they've always held true to, we're going to try to compete for a Super Bowl every single year. But if you look at some of the best teams in the playoffs this season, and this is probably true each and every season, but let's just take this season. Look at the Broncos. I was looking at the Broncos the other day. Since Peyton Manning retired in 2015 after the Super Bowl, they had seven losing seasons in that, I think, 9 or 10 year span. Okay, now they're the number one seed, so they had a chance to rebuild through the draft. Okay, look at the Patriots. Patriots had to get bad before they got their quarterback. Now Drake May is an MVP candidate, and they're the number 2 seed. So there is definitely something to what you're talking about. I don't know if the Steelers have the appetite for it. I think, as you know, they still have many of their top players under contract. TJ Watt has a few years left on his contract, highest paid player in the NFL. Cam Hayward still has another year left on his contract. So they will have to make the decision to move on from some of their biggest stars and to let those guys go as well. And maybe that's something that they explore here in the next couple of weeks, but it certainly would be a deviation from the way they've operated for really over the past 40, 50 years.
I was going to say, isn't the last rebuild when they hired Noel? I mean, because, Coward had 3 losing seasons and 2 of them back-to-back. But, Ray, refresh our memory here. I don't think that's because they were retooling. That was because one year the quarterback got hurt and they hadn't found Ben yet. I mean, to me, they were trying to win. They just weren't very good at it in 2 of those years. They have not come out to the fan base since Nixon was president and said, we're rebuilding, have they?
Yeah. Now, that's very true. And, you think back to when Chuck Noll retired. They had 2 consecutive losing seasons in 90 and 91. I think maybe a lot of people thought that was going to be a rebuild. You bring in this unknown defensive coordinator from Kansas City named Bill Cowher. Well, Bill Cowher went 11-5 and won the AFC. I think it was still the AFC Central back then. And, he just picked up the winning tradition and during his rookie season. So, we may be thinking that right now is the best time for a rebuild, that maybe that new coach comes in, breathes new life into the program. Maybe he gets better results. So we're going to have to wait and see. But this is going to be obviously one of the more interesting off seasons in quite some time for the Steelers.
All right. If they wanted to rebuild, as you pointed out, TJ Watt's the highest paid player. His cap hit would be enormous. I mean, is he even tradable if they wanted to?
Yeah, I think his contract is tradable. I'd have to look at the fine details to, see how much it would cost them cap-wise to, trade him and rid themselves of that contract. But let's say they have to eat $15 million, in cap space. If they can recoup a second-round pick, a high second-round pick, that's one way to start, rebuilding your roster. And he's not the only one. There's decisions on other guys that they're going to have to make. Jalen Ramsey is on the books, I think, for over $20 million next season. I don't know that Jalen Ramsey has any guaranteed money, but he might be easier to move on from. Cam Hayward has no guaranteed money, so there's no hurt there if you decide to move on from Cam Hayward. So they are a team with a lot of 30-plus veterans on their roster. I think that's how they stay good. There's a lot of continuity within that program. But at some point, I think the Steelers experienced this on Monday night. At some point, you got to get younger and faster. And we all saw how that Texans defense flew around to the football. I think that's the way the Steelers want to play in the future. But in order to do that, I think, to your point, you got to acquire younger and better players, to fill in those holes on the roster.
Ray Fittipaldo, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Follow him on X, Ray Fit with 2 T's and the number 1. Ray Fit 1. Is Mason Rudolph the clubhouse leader to be the quarterback next year? I mean, that's the other land of the unknown that the Steelers are in. They don't have one on their roster, we don't think, and it's slim pickings to go get one in the offseason via the draft or free agency. I mean, right now, Should I put my money on Mason Rudolph as a starter?
He would certainly be the leader in the clubhouse. I will say this: if Mike Tomlin had come back and Aaron Rodgers wanted to play, I think the Steelers would have had Rodgers back. But that now changes because Tomlin was the linchpin to that entire thing happening last year. So I do agree with you that Rodgers is not likely to be back. Will Howard was a rookie this season. Unfortunately for Will, he got hurt in training camp. Didn't play in any of the preseason games. The Steelers have no idea, what he is capable of. I think they like him as a talent. They want to develop him, but they can't go into next season thinking that he's a serious option. So they would probably have to go down the road of either drafting a quarterback high in the draft and letting him learn under Mason Rudolph, or you can go in another direction. You can get another veteran, and God knows who that would be. People are throwing out names like Malik Willis or some of these other guys that might be available, and then you just do the bridge thing again. You put it off for another year because this 2026 quarterback class coming out of college is not considered great. The 27 class is now considered to be much better. So maybe you just put it off for another year, and you decide to try to get your franchise guy in the spring of 27.
Well, it's obvious when we've had 6 popes in the last since 69 and only 3 Steeler coaches that any GM for Pittsburgh doesn't have a lot of experience in hiring a head coach. But Omar Khan now is tasked with the excitement, with the job of hiring a new coach. How will it? I mean, obviously the Rooneys are involved. I get it. Well, I've heard people talk about bringing in Bill Cowher to at least pick his brain. How do you think the organization will go about hiring the next coach?
You're right. The Rooneys will always make the final call. Art Rooney II is going to hold a news conference today, so I'm sure we'll get some details about the coaching search, who is going to lead it. Whether Omar is at the point there. Maybe they have some consultants, like you said, maybe some former employees who might be able to help out. I'm just throwing this name out there just because I know their relationship. But Omar Khan and Mike McCarthy worked together way back when with the Saints. I think 20-some years ago, they have a very good relationship. Mike is a free agent. He sat out this year.
He's from Pittsburgh.
Native, so that's one name to keep an eye on. But there are lots of other names that are being considered right now. Chris Shula, defensive coordinator for the Rams. There's actually a couple guys on Sean McVay's staff that are head coaching candidates in this cycle. So you could see some of those guys possibly mentioned as well. So very important time of year. The Steelers and their GM and their scouting staff are going to go off to the Senior Bowl here. I think just in about 2.5 weeks. I think they're not going to rush it, but I think ideally they would like to have their head coach in place. If not by then, certainly shortly thereafter that, so he can jump on board and get involved in the scouting and the drafting process for 2026.
I don't normally ask feelings questions, but do you think Tomlin's ever going to sit down with you guys one final time in Pittsburgh, or do you think that Mike ended it the way he ended it and, hell, they'll clean his office out for him and ship it to his house, that he gone? I mean, is it that bad? Did this end this rough, if you know what I mean, that Tomlin just submitted his resignation, so to speak, and walked out the door and he gone?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mike has great respect for the Rooneys and obviously for the Steelers. He might be a little bit soured by, the fire Tomlin chants from the fans. I guess that's certainly understandable. But I'm trying to think. I do think Bill Cowher held a news conference after he stepped down. I'm almost certain of that. I would think Mike would do the same, but I have no knowledge of whether that's going to happen. I do know today Art Rooney is going to talk at noon, and I would assume if Mike does do one, would probably be Thursday or Friday, but maybe not. He did issue a statement yesterday thanking the Steelers and thanking the city, so maybe that'll be it as well.
Back to Khan. From the outside, we don't think there's enough talent there. They've spent a lot of draft resources on the offensive line. There's been injuries. I don't know if it's worked. What do you think about this roster with the young players, particularly the O-line guys they drafted? Are they good enough?
Yeah, I mean, they've had some hits and misses. Yeah, I think Broderick Jones was a number 14 overall pick. I don't know that they're going to pick up his fifth-year option in May. So I would say right now that one is in question. That was actually Omar's first-round draft pick. But since then, I think he's done a really good job in the draft. Troy Fautanu was a first-round pick. He's developing into a very good right tackle. You got Zach Frazier, I think, who's one of the best young centers in the NFL. Their starting right guard was a fourth-round pick, Mason McCormick. So, they have the makings of a good young offensive line. So that's the good news. But if you look at their overall roster, their receiving core, I mean, there was a time the Steelers had an embarrassment of riches at the receiver position, and they had to let guys go because they could only pay one or two of them. I think back to, they had the so-called young money crew back when, during the Super Bowl years, Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, and Mike Wallace. Only Antonio Brown got a second contract. Mike Wallace got paid elsewhere, big contract. Emmanuel Sanders got paid elsewhere, big contract. They have nothing like that in their program right now. They have DK Metcalf, who was signed as a free agent, and I don't know anybody else who was in the rotation at the end of the season. Adam Thielen, I think, is going to retire. MDS was a street free agent when they got him, probably because Rodgers wanted him. Roman Wilson was a healthy scratch for a lot of the season. There's just not a lot of young talent at receiver on this roster. And I would say the same thing about defensive backs. You got one good defensive back to build around. That's Joey Porter Jr. Other than that, you got some aging vets and some guys who, quite frankly, are borderline NFL players. So, to me, when the draft comes around, if they don't move up and get a quarterback, and I'm not sure that they're going to do that because this draft class is weak, it's receiver and it's defensive back as the top two priorities to improve this roster.
Ray, we know you got some bad professional news. You and your colleagues in the last week or so were thinking of you. We hope things turn around. Thank you for always being so gracious with us. We wish you the best and hope to talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Ray Fittipaldo of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Follow him on X at RayFit with 2 T's and the number 1, RayFit1. The parent company who owns that paper announced they're going to fold it on May 6th. So that's what we're referring to with Ray Fittipaldo. Seth Everett is next.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1 811-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This was coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hi, Seth.
Hi. That commercial was very loud.
I know. I got to fix it. I keep forgetting. I do it right now.
Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. What's the deal with the Tampa Bay Lightning?
They don't lose.
What in the world?
They're good. They're really good.
They are.
Your team finally won a game.
What?
I said your team finally won a game.
Finally won a game. The Hughes Bowl. I'm going to send you a picture. This is one of the coolest hockey pictures I've ever seen. Yeah, this one. It's just the quality of it. I was watching the Devils play the Wild, and my friend is the pre- and post-game host for the Wild. And literally, 10 minutes into the first period, I go, "Hey, what are you doing Monday?" He's like, "Nothing." I go, "Sports with friends?" That's how I booked it.
Nice.
Hey, man.
Hey, dude. How are you?
I'm good. So I don't know if this is an on-the-air topic, but I was just given this text. A very serious question for Seth. Are you aware of the Topps Marvel trading cards? 1, yes or no? Okay.
No, I'm not.
So then question 2 doesn't apply. What is his opinion of them? So according to this gentleman, they're not inexpensive.
Okay.
However, if you get the right cards, apparently they're quite profitable. So I don't know if that could be a Hall of Justice topic, the Topps Marvel trading cards.
Yeah.
I know it's a reach, but just...
No, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I would read about it, but I don't know about a podcast for it. I have a dude from that show, The Food That Built America.
Yeah, you've talked about it.
That I love.
Yep.
And it turns out he's a former executive for DC and Marvel.
Nice.
That,
pictures. I like that.
That fits.
Yeah.
I like that photo. That's good.
That photo is great, right?
Yeah.
I sent it to you too, David. That someone took that picture and the NHL put it out, and it was fantastic. It's all 3 Hughes guys in action.
Huh.
Which is hard to do because usually one of them's hurt.
Well, the other thing is, there was some
That
time.
that was a shot. That
Yeah,
was designed to be a shot. That was just a shot.
No, my joke on that was they had a big family dinner Sunday night before the game. Did they let Jack touch any knives? Did they let him touch any glasses? Did they make him use paper plates?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home on this hump day, at least in Jacksonville, Tampa, St. Pete, and Fort Myers, Naples. Final hour of the show, Live Oak, Lake City, surrounding areas, Port Charlotte, Venice, and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Bud Elliott in about 35 minutes to talk all things college football. Chris Perkins in an hour to talk all things Dolphins. Seth Everett right now. He'll be in a better mood. A, his Devils snapped a losing skid the other night. And B, Syracuse has won 3 in a row in hoops. So there you go. He's back to wearing the Q stuff. Yep. Even though we all know that coach is getting fired. Follow Seth on X. It's Seth_Everett. Seth_Everett. How are you?
Good. My X doesn't work anymore. My Twitter doesn't. That app doesn't work.
What do you mean it doesn't work? You just quit it? Or
I go on the phone. I posted this on other social media.
What?
If you press the Twitter button, it goes about a minute and 20 seconds before it loads. By the first 30 seconds, I'm not interested in it anymore, and I close it. It doesn't work, and it started when I wouldn't pay for the verification.
I've had no problem, whether it's computer, whether it's phone.
But when Elon bought it and they made it paid, a sponsor paid me to keep it verified because they said that it helps promote the podcast.
Yes, I would agree. And I've actually thought about paying for not only David and I, but for the Miller and Moulton one that we have. Because
then after like the 4th or 5th Nazi trope, I said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And I stopped and I lost the verification. And ever since then, my Twitter app doesn't work. I hate that app more than itself. And it hurts me because that was my favorite. That was my favorite by a million. And it has gotten me through some of the darkest times in my life. And Twitter is one of my things. And it's like losing a friend. I hate not having Twitter.
Why? I mean, probably not for on air, but why don't you just try to reload it and try again? I mean, why you seem
please, David, show me how to do that. No.
Well, you're going to be waiting a while. That's for sure. Notice Mark.
I don't know if anybody caught how funny that just was. That was
too fast.
Notice
rewind. Listen again. That was good.
Notice Mark was the one who suggested it.
I know. And I said it fast and I said it wrong.
David sat here and said, wow, Seth has a real dilemma. Okay. I don't know how he gets around that. Maybe he needs to call that old sponsor and ask for help.
Seth, I am curious because first off, we know personally you are not a Rob Manfred fan.
No.
I get it. But we were asked, and I'm curious, and I know you don't do baseball the way you once did, but you pay attention to all sports. Mm-hmm. Do you think he's done try to look at it from the outside, from the 30,000-foot view. Has he done a good job?
No.
Why?
Oh, well, he supervised human trafficking of athletes like Yasiel Puig to get into the big leagues. He created this Fakakta World Baseball Classic, put it in March. He added an extra round of playoffs to get.
Hold on. Stop. If he moved it from March, would it be a good idea?
It's a better idea. It's an idea for a competition. If you put it in October or November, yeah.
Okay, when it leads to baseball being in the Olympics, is it still a Fakaka idea? Because that's happening.
Yeah, but then you're going to compromise your season, and you're going to try to play 162 games, and have your pitchers pitching 3, 4, 5 extra games for their country, right in the middle of the season.
Seth hates the Olympics. Seth hates the World Cup. Seth hates the Olympics because, God forbid, one of his New Jersey Devil players gets hurt
and
in
the Devils,
Winter Games.
Speaking of that, the Devils are third in the NHL in amount of players going to this Olympics. There's 10 players from our roster is going to the Olympics. How many of them come back with a arm in a sling?
No, we'll see. But trust me, all 10 want to go. All 10 would pay their own way to go.
I know. It's in the minority.
Okay.
I know it's an
So
unpopular
back to Manfred.
opinion.
So is there anything he's done you like?
Anything he's done? The pitch clock. I like that. But I can't stand the ghost runner. I think that's dumb. And, the root problem still exists because it's still there astronomical amounts of strikeouts.
I don't think that's the commissioner's fault. I mean, do you think the commissioner could fix the amount of strikeouts? Because I don't.
What I think his big thing now is he wants to have this streaming service with all these bankrupt RSNs, the 9 MLB RSNs that have just gotten rid of their teams, and he can't pull like what Pete Rozelle did with the NFL, where he said every team has to be on board with the same thing so that we can all succeed.
Yeah, because the problem is there's no George Halas and no Wellington Mara.
Correct.
Okay, and that's what I mean. The Giants and the Bears, and the Giants were probably the leader in the clubhouse because of New York. Okay, but those two men, if they felt the way we feel currently, owners currently are like, no, I'm out for me. I'm out so I can make the most money. I mean, you're right. That we all know the 6 major league teams that are never going to agree to give their media rights to Major League Baseball. And if you pitch them the Wellington Mara, George Halas, Pete Rozelle story, they'll laugh at you.
I know. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And now, people say, is it a big deal that people will have to find ways, creative ways to get the games and things like that? Yeah, that's a pain in the neck for fans. But I look at the disparity. 20 years ago when I worked for the league, they had payroll disparity. There were teams like the Minnesota Twins and the Florida Marlins that couldn't compete financially. And it was a miracle when anytime one of those teams would make a run. Now the payroll disparity is at an all-time high. And you have about 5 teams that are spending $200 to $300 million, and there are teams that are losing their revenue from cable. And it's remarkable how much payroll disparity is in that league right now.
All right, going forward, Seth, because you are maybe the biggest advocate of streaming that I know. Going forward with this whole RSN deal, rank the leagues that, baseball I think will be affected the most, but obviously this is going to hit hockey and basketball. Basketball's got a great deal with their national broadcast. Hockey relies on ticket revenue. This is going to affect baseball the most. How much is it going to affect basketball and hockey from an ownership standpoint?
Well, it's different. It's much more of an ownership problem than it is a league problem, because the cap and the floor, the teams are going to spend the same amount of money. For the NBA, the interesting part about the RSN deal is that because there's so much money from the national TV deal, teams are more reticent to join the Adam Silver version of this streaming service, whether it's Amazon or Apple or wherever they decide to go. Hockey is in a different situation. Again, it's not going to play on the ice itself, but what's happened, and this is something that I learned on Sports with Friends, it is becoming less attractive to own franchises because of this revenue deal. And, we were talking last week about expansion and whether or not the NBA would ever consider expansion, and they're not. And what they're probably going to do is relocate Memphis and New Orleans. And if that's the case and you're not expanding, I don't know how the other sports are expanding either. I just don't think they are.
So you're saying And Silver's been hinting at it. He
I
keeps
know.
saying, when people bring up expansion in Seattle and Vegas, he keeps going, well, we need to have a financial reason to go from dividing the pie by 30 to dividing it by 32.
32.
So
Yep.
what you're saying is your sources are telling you that instead of them expanding, that Memphis and New Orleans, one of them's going to Seattle and one of
Could be.
them's going to Vegas.
Yeah, it could be. And then Manfred was talking about his radical realignment plan, which I love. You guys know I'm a big believer. Get rid of the American and National League and make it all Eastern Conference, Western Conference, and cut down on travel. But then he says in an interview he didn't want the Cubs and White Sox, Mets and Yankees, Angels and Dodgers to be in the same division. What?
Yeah,
Put
that
them in the same division. Oh my God. As someone who is a Devils fan who loves to play the Rangers and the Flyers and the Islanders more than anyone else, put the Mets and Yankees in the same division.
I have to admit, though, as somebody who's of an age where we grew up with the leagues and we remember baseball fondly before interleague play, I mean, I was always much more jacked up to play the Phillies or the Cubs or whomever than,
because they were in your division.
Yeah.
In your division would be great. Have the Red Sox, but
look at the NFL. They didn't put the Giants and the Jets in the same division. Okay. The Rams and the Chargers aren't in the same, they said, no, this.
Right. But if you're starting clean and you're going to do it geographically, get the idea of the American and National League out of the way, and you've homogenized the league altogether. When I started covering baseball, there was something called a National League strike zone.
Yeah. Oh, we've talked about this. Yeah.
Right.
The umpires wore different uniforms. Yes. Right.
So there used to be an American and National League. They don't have that anymore. So make it so that all the rivalries have the Angels play the Dodgers 25 times. Oh, that'd be perfect. That's how you do a sport.
Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. Go.
It's Hall of Justice, and it's Jason Liebig, a gentleman who's a regular on one of my favorite TV shows, The Food That Built America, and he's also a former DC and Marvel Comics exec.
More time on DC Marvel exec or more time on The Food?
I gush about The Food for like the first 15 minutes, and then we get into the DC Marvel. I mean, the SpaghettiOs. I mean, come on. That's a great story. This kid had this round-shaped pasta, and all of a sudden he dropped it, and he went, uh-oh. And that's how they came up with the marketing phrase.
Well, that's all right. Lamar Hunt's kid came out, Super Bowl. I mean, He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. You used to be able to follow him on X, but now he's out in the wilderness all alone. He'll be back next week. Good luck.
How do you install that?
I'll call you.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
This is Miller and Moulton.
No Canada relief. And Mark, thank you for all your comments. I read them. Obviously, we had moved on. We were with Ray when you answered all of that. I will say your comments on if you're still with us on the DL, while they may be accurate, and I'll take everything you said as gospel. I don't think that that's a problem that's hurting the sport. Like the RSN's not knowing that's a great point. The problem is with the RSNs, as we just pointed out, the Yes Network still does really well. Nesson still does really well. So the bigger problem is what we just spoke of, is that you're never going to get the owners to be the way the NFL owners were, 60 years ago, basically. So valid points, and thank you for putting them up there. I once got 3 sides of a Rubik's Cube. I think that's about as far as I got. I used to be I was into the Rubik's Cube when it was big. I enjoyed trying to solve it and never did. And Johnny Mac, they're 6th in their division. I believe they're like 13th in the conference. The only thing is right now in that conference in the NHL, the Sabres were in dead last. They've had a good month, and they're in the playoffs. It's so tight in the East that you have a couple of good. I'm still petrified as a Wings fan that they're going to fall apart. And I don't think you could find a Red Wing fan out there that's not scared to death that this is all going to go backward. Javier, that's a really interesting question. Because they've, Bettman's been there so long, there's a lot of bad, but Bettman's done a lot of good for the NHL. I think Manfred's done a good job. I'm one that thinks that Rob Manfred's been good for the league. Silver, he got the TV deal. Other than that, I don't know. And Raj, that league, anything they do works. But with ownership, it would never happen. It's a pipe dream, Canada relief. And would we all? I think we'd all love it.
Yeah.
Unless you're a fan of a team that's perpetually bad and, you're a Jets fan and worried that your team's going to get relegated, but we know it'll never happen.
But also our sports systems don't work in a way where it's possible. And I don't just mean from the ownership, but think about it. You have other soccer leagues in which teams are trying to move up. They're independently owned. Like in baseball, what are we going to do? We're going to relegate somebody for what? It's somebody else's farm team.
Right. Other than the independent league that plays in the Midwest there. That's
right. And they play at a level 3 levels down. Right. Easily. So
hockey, the AAA teams, the American League teams are all, whether or not they're owned, they're affiliates.
Right. So
the only chance for relegation were if at some point they create a super league in college football and that next tier would have a chance to move up. And that won't happen either. But that's really the only one that you could look, because they're all independent of one another.
Would be interesting in college football if, let's just say, all of the Big 12 doesn't come. Only 10 of the teams come
Right.
into the Super League. So then the 2 Big 12 teams get relegated for 2 other Big 12 teams. Maybe it could happen within conference, but it would never happen cross-conference. I got something here if you don't have anything.
I don't. Go, let it rip.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. But Elliott to join us in a little more than 15 minutes time. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So, and I find myself having to apologize less and less for this, that we're finding out that you guys actually enjoy the whole ratings conversations. So the NFL wildcard TV ratings are in for at least 5 of the 6 games. And for the record, even though the last few years I've worked the Monday night wildcard game, if I was the NFL, I'd do away with it.
3 on Saturday?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
And-
you could, I mean, ESPN has Saturday night games. I mean, that that's so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big deal.
And I understand why ABC, ESPN asked for it. They do Monday Night Football. Can we get a Monday night playoff game?
And we've said for years, Monday night's a better TV night than Saturday night. It is.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, if I'm the NFL, I'd look at it and say, from a competitive disadvantage standpoint, we can't do it. Sorry. Now, you're always going to have somebody playing on, somebody's going to win on Sunday who's going to have to play Saturday the next week. But I would just negate as many situations as I could. All right. So taking Pittsburgh, Houston out of the equation, because we don't know those numbers, and I am willing to bet large amounts of money that it ends up being the lowest rated of the 6 playoff games for many reasons. Mark, NFL lowest rated playoff game was?
Rams, Carolina.
It was close, much closer than I thought it would be. It had the early Saturday time slot. It's the worst time slot. All right, but it was a compelling game. But the Sunday night football game did not do well in comparison. I mean, Sunday night football was the 4th highest rated game. It was about 1 million viewers more, close to 29 million for Sunday night football, 28 million for Rams Panthers. Now, remember, the college football semifinals just did 15.8 and 18. This is the very first round of the NFL playoffs. The worst rated game, at least until the Steelers-Texans ratings come in, because it's going to be lower. The worst rated game on a Saturday afternoon was Rams-Panthers. Okay. Highest rated streamed sporting event in America took place over the weekend. Saturday night on Amazon Prime. 31.6 million people streamed Packers-Bears.
That's a monster number. Now, if that game were on a network, I think it would have even been bigger.
I think if it were on a network, it would have been the highest rated game of the weekend.
There's no doubt.
Well, there's a game the next day that did a monster number for a wild card game. But we've been saying for a long time, the Bears equal ratings, and the Packers don't suck either.
By the way, and I forgot to talk about this really off air with Seth, and I probably shouldn't bring it up on air, but I'm going to anyhow. If you've listened to this show for a while, Seth is not a fan of St. Louis Cardinal fans. Cardinal fans get this pass that they're the greatest baseball fans and they're wonderful and nice. And he's like, they're arrogant and obnoxious, okay? They just don't get called out like other fan bases do. I kind of feel that way about the Packers. I really, and this is personal experience. If you're a Packer fan and you're a really nice person, then I apologize. But I get that vibe from the Packer fan. The Packers fans that I know, I should say.
I will just say this. I don't think you should judge Packers or Bears fans by how they act towards the other. That rivalry is so nasty, okay, that it's the most irrational that both fan bases get.
No, David. Before the game, I decided I was rooting for the Bears because of this. It had nothing to do with the rivalry.
Okay.
Nothing at all. And I love I love rivalries.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I loved what Ben Johnson said after, go get him. We need more of this in sports.
So Amazon Prime Saturday night did 31.6 million. 4 million more than the second highest rated streaming sporting event ever. How much of it is because it was the Packers and Bears? How much of it is because, you know what? Many of us have gotten in the Thursday night habit of Amazon. I mean, they're doing the exact same number on Thursday nights that Fox was doing 4 years ago. They were. We were doing between 14 and 15 million people on a Thursday night for Thursday Night Football on Fox. That's what Amazon's doing on a weekly basis. So make your conclusions. All right. So Bills-Jags did pretty well for CBS. The early game on Sunday did just under 33 million. It's a good number. It's a solid number.
This Josh Allen guy, he's pretty good.
Yep.
People like to watch him, David.
And compelling game.
Right. Great game. But Josh Allen, I think, with no Lamar, no Mahomes, Josh Allen and Stafford, the two biggest quarterback names in the postseason. I know Rodgers is, but let's be realistic. He's old. But yeah, I think Josh Allen equals ratings right now.
And then there was the Niners-Eagles game. And we've talked about it for a long time. What does NBC claim on Sunday night? It's the number one rated prime time program. What's the best time slot? The 4:30 game on Sunday. That's the slot. When Fox and CBS can get an A game at 4:25 on Sunday, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. What time slot is the Thanksgiving game? And doesn't hurt it's the Cowboys, yes. But what's the money slot on Thanksgiving? 4:30 Eastern kickoff. Right. 41 million. Niners, Eagles. Remember, that's not peak. That's average. 3+ hours.
What did it do?
41.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like the highest rated wild card game Fox has had in 10 years. Yeah. 41 million. So you got the two games in the high 20s, you got the two games in the low 30s, and then Niners, Eagles, 41. Listen, the NFL knows what they're doing. They got all these networks calling their offices, yelling at them, and then begging them and what have you. And so they took care of Amazon. They gave them Bears Packers. All right.
And I do think not only did they take care of Amazon, they also took care of themselves, David. The last thing they want is a dud rating with their streaming part.
Right.
Because they know going forward there will be more of that, not less of that. So they want to try to build up whatever that price tag is going to be when the new contract comes, when they go to 18 games, whatever the case may be. More streaming's coming at us. And how do you get more money? You make sure streaming numbers are good. If they would have thrown Rams Carolina on Prime, it would have done a lousy number.
Correct. So they give Fox, they don't give them Bears Packers, which honked them off. But you know what they gave them? They gave them the number one time slot. And oh yeah, they gave them San Francisco, Philly, two top 5 markets in the country. They gave CBS Josh Allen. They gave NBC the time slot. When do they air football? Sunday nights. What did they give them? Sunday night. And ABC wants Monday Night Wild Card game, so they gave it to them. Now, they don't have much leeway. They can only give them a 4 or 5 game for scheduling purposes. So the choices were give them Rams-Panthers or give them Steelers-Texans. They gave them the Steelers, the best draw of the 4.
Miller and Moulton. Bud Elliott next. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Spring training is a big win for Lee County. Beginning next month, we will proudly host the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins right here in Southwest Florida. It's more than great baseball. It's jobs, visitors, and $69 million in tourism impact for our local economy. Get your tickets at redsox.com and twins.com. Be part of something that strengthens our community. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You may not be wrong, Javier, but I do think, unlike the other streaming services, whatever one, whether it was Paramount, Peacock, or whatever the case may be, if ESPN ever dared to do it on Plus, I think far more people have Prime. You also, though, and Pat brought it up yesterday, you're really negating that mid to lower economic part of the audience that, maybe the 149 for Prime, maybe that's just too much for people on a budget. So that is interesting. No. Javier, I'm with you. I wouldn't have Prime if it wasn't for my wife. And I use Prime for a lot of viewing. No doubt. No doubt. I agree with you 100%. But that's why I think that streaming on Prime is always going to do reasonably well. Hey, bud.
Go on, guys.
I like the set.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not zoomed in today, so
No, which is why, it's got a different look to it. I like it.
yeah, I don't know what happened to my desktop. It just absolutely died. So probably gonna need to go get a docking station, I think, so I can run it off this.
Okay.
Probably.
Remember, you're talking to me. I have no idea what you're. Yeah, outside of the framing, I have no idea anything you're talking about. So
I have 4 monitors here, and then
no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just, I'm a technological idiot. So
same. Like I there's stuff I still haven't set up in the house. Like we need to get this, fixed. Yeah, I've been Googling.
How you doing? Family good? Everything okay?
Yeah, doing good.
Good.
Just, end of the season.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm excited, to see this Natty actually.
Are you going?
Yeah, I got to go down there for a couple business things, and they also jammed Elite 11, the big Nike tournament, and the Battle tournament the same weekend.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Chris Perkins will join us then to talk all things Dolphins. We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. And we're thrilled to welcome back Bud Elliott. He's still got all those jobs, although some of them he's not doing quite as much. College football season coming to an end. Portal window. Did it close? Is it now officially over or is it Friday?
Friday.
Okay.
But then, that's the window to jump in. That's not the window to declare what school you're going to go to. But you have to be in the portal by Friday.
Gotcha. All right. Bud Elliott 3 is how you follow him on X. 2 L's, 2 T's, and the number 3.
All right. Before we get to the game, and we got plenty of time to get there, when Miami has a new quarterback next year, who the hell is it going to be? They keep missing on all these guys, Bud.
Yeah, I'm very curious about this. So I believe today is the deadline to declare for the NFL draft, right? So I thought they were maybe going to get Preston Simpson, Ty Simpson from Alabama, but it looks like he actually is going to stick in the draft.
Did you hear what he said?
About how much they offered him?
Well, there's 2 parts to it. Is that first off, he said, listen, I've been here at Alabama 4 years. I'm a Bama guy. I couldn't end this anywhere else. I committed to these guys and this, that, and the other thing. I just couldn't basically wear another uniform. First off, you don't hear that anymore.
No.
Okay. But secondly, then I guess when he was considering it, it was $4 million. They went after Levitt, missed, called them back and said 6.5, and Ole Miss also offered him 6.5.
I mean, it's you still have coaches making more than quarterbacks, a ton of them actually, and in the NFL, you just really don't have that, right? These guys make multiples of what even the highest paid coaches make. So I do think 6.5 is kind of on the upper range relative to a salary cap of 20. But if you're playing with a salary cap of 40 and you don't really play the high school quarterback recruiting game, which Miami has done, let's say, sparingly over the last couple of years, right? Then you can afford to pay 6.5. Now, if I'm paying two guys on my roster already 1.5 because I signed them for that out of high school, then I can't go pay a guy 6.5 because then I'm getting up there close to a $10 million quarterback room. But if you have a relatively cheap quarterback room, which Miami certainly does, it's not crazy. It's a little wild, but it's not crazy to give 6.5 to a guy because they just don't have the quarterback cost on their roster already.
All right. One of the things that's being talked about outside of the game with the Hoosiers is the age of their team. And they've done it in the portal, and there are a lot of reasons behind it. The COVID year that was there for a while, and there's a lot of different reasons why they're old. Good teams in the NCAA basketball tournament tend to be older too, Bud. This is not a phenomenon that's new to Indiana, but now that they're in the final, it's being brought up more. How much older are they than other teams, and will we see this trend continue successfully?
So they are meaningfully older than some of the other teams. I think they have done a good job being really efficient in the portal, getting guys who they know can at least play, right? That doesn't really explain how they're playing this well. If you went after a high floor operation without a lot of stars, you would expect to basically prevent the backslide from the team that they had last year. Instead, they've gotten a lot better. Now, a large part of that, I think, is Mendoza, who has only thrown 5 incompletions in the entire playoff, and one of those probably wasn't even his fault. So I do think they are older. Will it continue? Yes, but I don't know how many teams you're going to have be like old relative to the field, because I'm sure it's a copycat sport, right? So people will value getting some of the guys who are a little bit older. I will say, though, we are going to continue to have older players in this sport for quite a while for this reason. You already have a lot of people who hold their kid back from going to kindergarten. They'll put them in transitional. Depending, like if you have like a June, July, August birth date, I think it's actually really smart to do so, sports aside, right? Just from you don't want to be the youngest in your class by that much, if you're a boy. But here's the thing: what if you did that, and then school got canceled for COVID? Then you're a 20-year-old going to prom, guys. Right? We're seeing this a lot.
Damn, I'd have had my driver's license before my sophomore year. They're killing me right now, bud.
Yeah, so you're going to start to see this come up quite a bit. There's so many places that didn't have school during COVID, or they were like, "Hey, it's kind of optional if you go." And people are like, "We're not going to waste a year and matriculate when we didn't learn anything." So I think the players are going to be significantly older for sure.
I know you haven't drilled down as much as you're going to before making your pick, but Miami around an 8-point underdog, which is actually a bigger underdog than either Bama or Oregon was, which is interesting. If one of these two scenarios were to play out, which do you think is most likely? Indiana played bully ball with Alabama, ran it 50 times for over 260. What they did to Oregon was they said, yeah, you don't have dominant pass rushers. We can block you. And our receivers are better than your corners. And we'll just throw a bunch of back shoulders and a bunch of go-get-em balls, and our guys will get them and you won't. And they did. Which scenario against Miami's defense is more likely? Bully ball or attacking the secondary?
I kind of think the secondary. Now, of course, game state is going to matter a lot, right? Do they get the turnovers that they've been getting? And they've been getting them early in a game. I think they have 4 or 5 interceptions on the first or second play of the game, and a couple more on the first possession of the game. But I do think that they have a really nice trio of receivers, and Mendoza is just playing at a different level right now, and he's just finding whoever's open. He's not really locking on just to one guy. Now, they had some positive variance go in their favor, guys. They were 5 of 5 in contested catch opportunities when the game was close. That's kind of a coin flip situation for the most part. You're not going to go 5 of 5. I know Indiana's good, but they're not all first rounders good. 2019 LSU with all those receivers did not go that kind of percentage on contested catch. So they got a little bit lucky in terms of variance against Oregon. They also kicked Oregon's butt, right? And Oregon also melted down with 3 turnovers, maybe 1.5 of which were kind of unforced. Certainly the one was the back running of the quarterback is not anything that Indiana's doing. So I think game state's going to matter a whole lot in this. Is Miami able to control the tempo? One of the things I found, because we're cutting our preview today on Cover 3 in 2 hours, Miami splits with the offensive linemen are the second closest together that Indiana will have faced. They played Iowa. Iowa actually has the second tightest splits in the country. And Iowa gave them a pretty good game.
It was tied in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Miami is 10th in the nation out of 130. What do we have, 8 now? out of 100, like they're 10th in terms of how tight their splits are. They're really big up front. They are susceptible to some stuff off the edge, like hit and run, like cutting runs down from the backside. But they do not allow really any interior penetration against the run due to those splits and due to how they call it. And Indiana has feasted on teams with confusion, with stunts, switch. Like there's a lot of stuff that they do to get free runners at the quarterback and free runners into the backfield to stop the run. And I am curious, like if Miami is able to kind of make like to render that not working, what happens? Like does Indiana start blitzing more? Like I assume they throw numbers at the problem and make Carson Beck beat them in one-on-one situations. But I am curious, like, do these splits for Miami, because they're comfortable playing this style? Like Bama's big up front, but they don't play that, like they're not foot to foot.
All right. On that note, one of the film guys that I pay attention to, because I'm not breaking down film. I've never lied about that on this show for nearly 20 years. It's not what I do. But one of the people that I trust that does break down film not only talked about that, but the big emphasis has been made about the size of the Miami line versus the size of the Indiana defense. His point was it's not just that, and he didn't talk about the split, so I'm glad you brought that up, but he talked about the athleticism of the Miami offensive line, that despite them being as big as they are, you don't naturally combine that with an athletic offensive line. And he's talking about, hey, don't forget, not only is this a big offensive line, this is a real athletic offensive line that did particularly well against Ole Miss, who tried a lot of those stunts and didn't have a lot of success doing so, bud.
Yeah, so I mean, like left to right, Markel Bell is like 6'7", 370. I think he's athletic for his size. On the right tackle side, like Maui Noah is a top 10 pick, and he's just an athlete who happens to be enormous. Like we nailed that one at 24/7. Like he was just clearly a 5-star freak show. Their center, James Brockermeyer, I mean, like what is he, 22, 23? I think he's got a fiance now. Like the guy is really athletic and smart. He's not huge, but like he's not tiny by college center standards. Inez Cooper is like one of their team captains and like a really damn good guard. And then Okunlola at the other guard spot used to be a tackle, a 5-star. Like, and he just took a little while to get going, and obviously like couldn't crack the lineup at tackle, but they kicked him into guard, and he's done okay. Yeah, like they really have a really damn good college offensive line. Like I would say like them, Iowa, Oregon when they're healthy is pretty damn. Like there's a couple more, but like Miami's clearly like at the top, probably with Iowa.
And it was 13 all going to the fourth, and Mendoza and company, Iowa came with an all out, and they hit him for a big play touchdown, and then ended up winning the game by 5. Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports, Cover 3 podcast, no cast. Follow him on X at Bud Elliott, the number 3, 2 L's, 2 T's, and the number 3. So we like to say major sports are a TV show. Rubs some people the wrong way. The TV ratings are in. Boy, the December Bowls, tremendous, up 13%. College football playoff quarterfinals, tremendous, up 14%. It's getting worse once we get past January 1st. Again. You think they address this? Do you think they got to get ESPN's cooperation, but it's not work. ESPN doesn't want 16 and $18 million semifinals either. Okay. They want 23, 25, $27 million semifinals. Do you think this sport will address this?
I don't know how fast they'll address it. I want to see how many teams they go to. I do think if they're smart, they realize like long-term for the health of the sport, probably even during their contract, some of these teams making the playoff and making these runs in the playoffs, it's going to spawn like serious fandom going forward, right? Like if you're an Indiana fan who's growing up during this run, you're probably hooked, man. Like that, you got that first hit, you're always going to think, hey, we can get back and do this again, right? Now we might think, hey, this is kind of lightning in a bottle. The JMU guys, plus the fact you hit on the number 1 overall pick at quarterback, is how repeatable is that formula? But yeah, I mean, like the ratings are not going to be quite as good for Indiana because that's not a name brand. I would say, like, do we think it's really the time of year? Clearly, that matters some. right? No doubt. And the NFL playoff games have been awesome. So, like, there's only so much football most people can watch in a weekend. How much do we think it's the scheduling? How much do we think it's the name brand or lack thereof in some of these games? Like Ole Miss is not a name that draws.
But remember, the semis were down from the quarters last year, and the semis were Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, and Penn State.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the numbers are now showing us. You get past January 1st, less people are watching.
Right. No, 100%. That's actually a really good point. Clearly the scheduling matters some. I think you probably need to give Army Navy a dedicated window and not a dedicated day, and start the playoffs on that day.
Turnovers are even, because we all know that can influence everything. So just for sake of argument, turnovers are even. What is the thing Miami has to do to pull off an upset?
I think they have to. I think they have to make them one-dimensional and not really stop the Indiana run game. Like, as far as things within their control, I think if you can shut down the Indiana run game, then you're going to need some positive variance, okay, in your favor. Against Oregon, Indiana had crazy variance in their favor, right? Like, Mendoza was a surgeon, but he also, again, 5 of 5 on contested catch. Like, the one tip ball he had fell harmlessly to the ground. It wasn't picked. If you control and you stop the run, and Mendoza's just a little bit off, like something that's kind of outside your control, I think you can win the ballgame. I don't know that I'm going to pick Miami to win the game, but I think that's the kind of stuff you need to have. If they're two-dimensional and you got to worry about the RPO stuff all the game, then I think you're cooked.
He's Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports, Cover 3 Podcasts, Nolecast. Follow him on X, Bud Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's, and the number 3, Bud Elliott 3. Bud, looking great, by the way. Thanks for doing your hair for my mom. She's thrilled.
Absolutely.
And have a good trip to Miami.
All right, guys. Be well.
Bud Elliott, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Chris Perkins to talk Dolphins next.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind. Right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for details.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Oh, Mark's well aware it's curling time, Adam.
I'll have a preview for you next week.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the top of the bonus hour on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Chris Perkins will be hooking up with us within the next minute to talk all things Dolphins. If you missed Ray Fittipaldo, Seth Everett, and Bud Elliott already on the show, make sure you go to millerandmoulton.com and download our fine guest list and what you've already missed. By the way, Pat Kerwin, for scheduling reasons, is going to have to join us tomorrow. So Pat Kerwin will move his Friday appearance up to tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So make plans accordingly for your appointment listening with Pat Kerwin. Chris Perkins, kind enough to join us once again, Sun Sentinel, sun-sentinel.com. Follow him on X at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K. Good to see you. A lot has happened since we last talked. So we'll try to go through some things quickly. A little over 24 hours after we last spoke, Mike McDaniel was fired. Owner said basically he made the call. How is that being received within the organization?
There's a lot of surprise, because Mike McDaniel had been making plans. He had been doing exit interviews. There was really not an indication that this was going to happen after Mike McDaniel went through the Black Monday exit interview with the media. We figured Mike McDaniel has made it. And then lo and behold, John Harbaugh gets fired on Wednesday. Mike McDaniel gets fired on Thursday. We don't know if there's a connection. But it was curious that I guess out of that Tuesday conversation, the story is Steve Ross didn't like what he heard. But I think, he had Mike McDaniel for 4 years. That seems kind of fishy to me.
Did I hear this right? That apparently Ross fired McDaniel while he was doing an exit interview with one of the players. Is that a true story?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I would doubt that.
No, I don't mean like he walked in the room and fired him, but basically he kind of got the call, or there's stories out there that the call was made. Hey, come up and see the owner, basically, as he's talking to a player. I find that wild. I don't find it surprising. I just find it wild.
Yeah, I find the whole thing, there's just some missing pieces here. It's kind of tough to know what to believe. As I say, I thought Mike McDaniel was safe. You guys know that I thought they should have taken the broom to the top three, Greer, McDaniel, and Tua. But after Mike McDaniel did that media interview on Black Monday and said that he was going to help select the general manager, I thought the guy was safe, just apparently like he did.
I think all the GM candidates told Ross that we'd really like to start anew. And I have a feeling that as the GM interviews went on, that helped Ross. Every time he went to bed, there were more people in his ear saying, well, I'd really like to hire my own coach. And that's why ultimately he decided what he did. We'll see. He ended up deciding on hiring somebody from the Packers organization. Yeah. Tell us about him. Also, tell us what he has said to you guys in the last 5 days.
We have not talked to John Eric Sullivan, the new general manager. They're going to wait until they hire a coach and do a dual news conference, general manager and coach. I like the hire. I like that he comes up from the Packers organization, an organization that seems to have its, have its house in order. They were, Ron Wolf was the longtime general manager there. Brian Gutekunst has taken over. Yes, Matt LaFleur, their coach, is in some trouble right now, but it's a good organization. One thing that I like that John Eric Sullivan has shown us already is the line of head coach candidates. 7 of the 9 have a defensive background. Well, really 6. I mean, the guys they've asked to speak with, I should say, because John Harbaugh has not said that he will speak with them. He's got more of a special teams background, but as a position coach, he was a defensive coach. 7 of the 9 defensive background. I like the attitude change. I like the physicality change, the mindset change. No more of this high-scoring offense, cutesy stuff. Get down in the dirt and win some football games. Apparently, that's what I'm taking from all the defensive coach hires. I think this organization needs mindset change more than anything. It seems that that's coming.
Okay, let's just say they got the GM right. Let's say whoever the coach is, that we all like him, because I don't think it's going to be John Harbaugh. Maybe it is, but I don't think it's going to be. But let's just say they get those two right. Is 2026 still a lost season because of the cap jail that they are in between Tua and Tyreek Hill?
It's a lost season as far as trying to win a playoff game, but it's a very crucial rebuild season, as you guys could figure. So, yeah, it is you could say it's a lost season if you want to put it like that. But, look, I'm tinkering around with a column just saying that I'm giving these guys 3 years, John Eric Sullivan and the new coach. And I'm not saying that anybody needs to be fired if they don't make the playoffs in 3 years. But if you don't, or if you don't win a playoff game, by the 2029 season, entering the 2029, well, that's a 28-year drought. And I know that they don't carry all of that. They would only carry what they're responsible for. But there's fan fatigue here. There's Steve Ross fatigue here. And there's a general impatience with coaches, right? How many jobs are open now? 10?
9.
9. Okay, yeah, 9. So there's a general impatience. Steve Ross pretty much goes 3 years with coaches. Mike McDaniel got 4, but Flo got 3. Adam Gase got 3. Joe Philbin got 3+. So I'm thinking 3 years. You've got to make next year count.
When the new GM said, "I want to be physical," I started racking my brain going, okay, when was the last time we considered the Miami Dolphins a physical team? Do you have to go to the Wanstead days? Because he was a power running guy, Lamar Smith, Ricky Williams. All right. The defense that Jimmy put together was a combo of physical and speed. But is that really, I know Sperano had the two tailbacks, so they had a moment. But has it been over 20 years, or do we have to go back to the late 70s in Shula, the last time the Dolphins were truly a physical team?
Well, I think the physicality, if you're not talking talent, I think that Brian Flores had a physical team. He just didn't have that much talent. They wanted to play a physical style. They had a physical mindset. Or maybe toughness might be the better term for the flow team. But you're right, David. You do have to go back to Ronstadt. The defense with Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor and Tim Bowens and Daryl Gardner and Pat Surtain and Sam Madison and Trace Armstrong. All of those guys, they were physical. They were successful. They were physical. I do think that that's the last time, because ever since then, your team has just been kind of, well, you've got kind of a physical offense, but not a physical defense, a physical defense, but not a physical offense. Those teams with Ronnie were tough. O.J. McDuffie was tough. Aronde Gadsden was tough. Jay Fiedler was tough. Lamar Smith, Richmond Webb. Yeah, I think that is the last time.
While you guys were talking about that, it got me thinking. And, it's always been they need the guy because they haven't had one since Marino. But when you really think about it, and maybe this is obvious to everybody, and I just hit me, but it's really the way they should play. And I mean on offense, too, because what's the thing Miami has going for them? Well, the heat and the humidity and just how difficult it is. But if you're pounding on your opponent in those elements, you're going to use the heat in the things that Miami is going for more to your advantage than playing a finesse or an up-tempo or a let's score a lot of point offense. I mean, it really coincides with where they play, too. I mean, look at the team that's playing for the national championship. The Hurricanes want to beat you up front. They want to run it down your throat, and it works to their advantage. It really, you don't usually see the pro team trying to emulate the college team, but I think that's the end result if they do that, especially on offense, Chris.
Yeah, no, you're right, Mark. And I might have told you guys this, but I think just kind of low-key in college and NFL, there's a defensive trend going on. Indiana and Miami both play good defense. I know people want to look at Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman-winning quarterback, and Carson Beck, the multi-million-dollar quarterback. That's two good defensive teams. Look at what Houston just did to Pittsburgh. CJ Stroud has 3 turnovers, and they win 30-6 or whatever that score was because the defense of Houston. Look at New England's defense. We want to give a lot of credit to Drake May. They play good defense. The Chargers play good defense. Seattle plays good defense. So as we're looking at all these quarterbacks, Drake May and all these guys. Think of the defense that is accompanying them. And remember, the playoffs had no Lamar Jackson, no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow. Down low, low-key defense is really kind of coming up. So the Dolphins, getting back to your point, yes, it's being shown that you can have success like that. I'm not going to say win a Super Bowl, but I will point out Philadelphia and Kansas City were both good defensive teams last year also.
All right, got about 2 minutes. What's the time frame here? The in-person coaching interviews have started. The word was Stefanski was yesterday. You guys think by the next time we talk, do you think they have a coach?
I think they're going to be pretty close, judging by the speed with which they named the general manager. I think they want to get this thing done. I think they want to get this thing done before the Senior Bowl, which starts, I want to say January 27th. Practices are the 27th. The game is January 31st down in Mobile. That's a big scouting, thing, the Shrine Game and the Senior Bowl, get everything started. So I think ideally they would like to have a coach named by then, but that's no guarantee. They have not put a timeline on it.
You have a guy that you like?
I don't yet. My big thing is mindset. Bring in a tough, physical, aggressive mindset, and that's not because you want to do a 180-degree swing from Mike McDaniel. That's just because I think that's the best way to play the game. You get a physical mindset, you get your quarterback, and you see what happens from there. So that's what I want to see. Whoever brings that kind of mindset, bring them on board.
I'm rooting for Chris Shula. Does the last name play? Yes, but he's a defensive guy, and he's been there at McVay's entire tenure. McVay has shown him every aspect of the organization. He's groomed him to be a head coach. McVay privately highly recommends him.
Yep.
I'm rooting for him. We'll see where they go, but I'm rooting for him.
You know what's interesting, David? Very quickly, I got an email from somebody the other night wondering if that name would put too much pressure on Chris Shula here. I thought that was an interesting question.
I think it does for what it's worth.
And I'm wondering if Chris Shula has options if that breaks the tie because of the connection. So we'll see. He's Chris Perkins, Sun Sentinel, sun-sentinel.com. Follow him on X at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K. Chris, all the best. Have a great week.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Chris Perkins joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise at Seminole Casino Hotel. We're bringing you more. With real cards and real dealers 24/7, this is the place where the action never ends. Now you can bet on your favorite team, roll the dice on craps, or spin the wheel for roulette. We've got your game. Plus, the Zigzag Girls Blackjack Pit features nonstop excitement and free drinks while you play. This is Seminole Casino Hotel, minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Michael, you should have stopped at you're a number 1 seed because of your defense. You're not a number 1 seed because of Bo Nix. Let me ask you this. If you had Pittsburgh's defense and Bo Nix, do you think you'd have been a 1 seed? Bo Nix is way ahead of schedule. He is. He might end up being really, really good, but he's not the reason they're a 1 seed. And I don't even know about that. Might be a playoff. Might have been like Pittsburgh. Might have been a playoff team. Might have been the last wild card. He's fine, but again, I mean, that defense travels, man. And if they get by Buffalo, they're going to play another good defense, whoever it is, Houston or New England. I would say that's accurate, Canada Relief. I think the Pats and the Broncos are overachievers this year. We'll find out on the Pats, because are they overachievers, or did they just take advantage of one of the worst schedules that we've seen? Even the teams they beat, like Tampa, ended up being the team with a losing record. I don't know. I mean, I love Vrabel. I like this defense. The corner there, Gonzalez, his status is a big deal in this next game, but we'll see. But I mean, you've got 3 legit defenses in the AFC right now, and Buffalo's who to me, their defense is barely average, if that. So it's a fascinating weekend coming up, and we'll start flipping the corner here tomorrow, because there's been a lot to go back on. Just a warning, everybody, for those of you in Southwest Florida, and I know the majority of you are, a definite sock, shoe, and probably sweatpant advisory for tomorrow morning. Rainy and 39 is the low. I'm playing in a golf tournament this weekend, and it's going to be 58 on Saturday, and if we win, it's going to be 40 degrees on Sunday. Woo. Yeah, tomorrow the low is 39 with a 70% chance of rain. I don't know when the rain is supposed to start. I did not look that far.
Are you talking about Southwest Florida?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be.
There's talk by the end of the week it could be mid-20s in Jacksonville.
Well, if it coincides with the weather that's coming through, you know what you could get there.
Uh-huh.
Yinzer, the back is fine. The rest of me, well, we'll tell that story on another day. Yeah, it's supposed to be raining. I mean, in the morning, like when I'm coming to work tomorrow, it's a 50% chance of showers. It's going to be cold. I've already got the hoodie ready, David. I just want to let you know.
Okay.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Final thoughts, a pick or two, all coming up. So, besides the obvious, which is, Pittsburghers liked Cowher more. They liked his personality more. Okay. I'm not going to go with the racial dynamic. I'll just say that they liked Cowher more than Tomlin. Okay. Whether you agree with that or not. When we had Ray Fittipaldo on, and I was thinking about it yesterday while I was on a flight, Tomlin went 8-12 in the playoffs. Well, his second team won the Super Bowl. That's 3 playoff wins because they had a bye. His fourth team went to the Super Bowl. That's 2 playoff wins. Well, that's 5. In 2016, the last time he won a playoff game, they had to play in the wild card round, and he got to the AFC Championship. So that's 2 playoff wins before losing to Brady and the Patriots. Well, Mark, that's 7 of his 8 playoff wins.
Right.
So even though he made the playoffs 13 times, and Ray Fittipaldo pointed out the stat, I don't know how many of us really let it sink in when he said it. Tomlin only won a playoff game in 4 of his 19 seasons, and only in 4 of the 13 times he made the playoffs. So there are fan bases out there, obviously, Dolphins, Browns, 12 fan bases who look at Mike Tomlin's record from afar and let me get this straight. Made the playoffs 13 times in 19 years, never had a losing season, and you guys can't wait to get rid of him? What is your problem? But Troy Aikman said something in the second half Monday night that I've been thinking about. He said, I can tell you as a player, yeah, it's great to make the playoffs, but if you go one and done in the playoffs, you really don't feel as if you accomplished anything that year. You don't.
Cam Hayward said so much so leading up to the playoffs. It's this is great. We won the North, but I want a lot more than this. He's never, he hadn't experienced a lot of playoff success. So you're right on.
And so, and meanwhile, by the way, if you compare him to Cowher, and by the way, Bill Cowher was 8-9 in the playoffs until the Super Bowl run in 2005. I mean, Bill Cowher was in his 14th year with the Steelers before he won more than 1 playoff game in a season. Well, that's not true because he got to the Super Bowl once before, but he had only done it 1 time in 13 years. All right. But then Cowher ran the table as a wild card team, and they won 4 games. And so Bill Cowher's playoff record's 12-9. Mike Tomlin's is 8-12. They both went to 2 Super Bowls. They each won 1. Tomlin, the superior regular season coach. And even though Bill Cowher lost 4 out of 6 AFC championship games that he was in, and I think he lost 4 home AFC championship games. We talk about disappointing the fan base. Lose a conference title game at home.
Well, and yet, as I'm looking at David, there are other things too, because in the 2017 season, that's a 13-3 team,
and
that went out.
And the Jags came in and took them out.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
That's
I probably need that day back.
You have not been given a mulligan for that day, have you?
I really haven't.
Very quickly to review for those that don't know, They had a dog that they loved. Okay. The daughter was what, 3?
Well, it wasn't the dog. It was the daughter, because I didn't have the collar yet, I don't believe. But that's when the Jags, I think Mr. Khan had bought the team that year, and we were just on in Southwest Florida. And I was jokingly lobbying for a job with him because he has a house in Naples.
Right.
So I was acting like he was listening and said, I'm ready anytime. And so I was very pro Jags, and a lot of it was tongue in cheek, and I was having fun on air with it.
And meanwhile, for the first 12 years we were together, Mark had only referred to them as the South Georgia Jags. He was very not complimentary of the Jags.
I was the total opposite. And that's when I flipped. That's when I flipped.
Mr. Khan buys the team. Mark finds out he's got a house in Naples. Mark is lobbying on the air for employment. They became the JAGS, Jags. They win 2 playoff games. They go into Pittsburgh and beat his beloved wife's playoff team. Mark gets a Jags dog collar.
Well, it's not just that. We watched the game, and I watched it in the jacuzzi or in the hot tub, whatever you want to call it, out on our porch, and the daughter's swimming in the pool, and she's jumping in the hot tub and going back and forth. And the wife walks out after the game, and I have the 3-year-old daughter look at her mother. By the way, our last name's Miller. My wife had a Heath Miller jersey. Our daughter had a Heath Miller jersey, one of the cutest pictures in the world of the two of them, looking over their shoulders with the Miller jerseys, their Steeler Miller jerseys on. But in this moment, she's in our bathing suit, and I convinced our daughter to look at her mother after the game when the Jags upset the Steelers and go, Jags, Jags. And it's probably the only time, truly the only time that my wife has hated me in our 15 years together. He was so pissed.
That's the only time divorce has truly been on the table, I think, was that moment right there. Everything else but Cowher has a lot of 1-and-1s if you look at his coaching record. He made the playoffs 10 times in 15 years. Tomlin made it 13 times in 19 years. But Cowher did a lot of win a game, lose a game. Win a game, lose a game. So as a fan, you could see, I feel like we're accomplishing, so we're winning playoff games. We just can't get to the end.
And David, Troy's assessment, and I've worked for more teams than you. I've been a part of a team more than you. You were on the news side. I was on the team side. And I did hockey, not football, but I can relate to it because when you win a playoff series, if you get bounced in the first round in hockey, it felt like you never made the playoffs. Even good teams I worked for, really disappointing, and it's just mind-blowing when you lose in the first round. But if you win in the first round, the entire organization's mindset changes. At that moment, you start thinking,
we can win this.
We could win this whole blanking thing.
Mm-hmm. And as Yinzer points out in our Twitch chat room, Cowher won his Super Bowl second to last season. Tomlin won it his second season. So, they have very similar resumes. Very similar. Tomlin's is longer. Tomlin's regular season one is better. Cowher's postseason one is better. But it's, they were rejoicing apparently in Pittsburgh, the news. And when Cowher walked away after an 8-8 2006 season and said, I'm done, they were jumping off the bridges.
Yes. I mean, I use the word with Ray. I mean, my brother-in-law who lives in Pittsburgh, and I was texting with him just to get the vibe of the city. And he's like, giddy was the word that the local media would use, radio shows, podcasts, etc. Giddy about firing Mike Tomlin.
So just interesting how you look at things on paper and fan bases all over the country see the record and go, oh my God, that's amazing. And then you start to drill down. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap tapes today? When next?
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for details.
Spring training is a big win for Lee County. Beginning next month, we will proudly host the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins right here in Southwest Florida. It's more than great baseball. It's jobs, visitors, and $69 million in tourism impact for our local economy. Get your tickets at redsox.com and twins.com. Be part of something that strengthens our community. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
GM's pretty new. He's not been there that long, RCB. So that would be why there. For those of you who know Miami well, there are some really funny videos I've seen on X. I saw the same one on TikTok, recommending places for Indiana fans to go visit. Oh my! And it basically tell them to go at night. And the last one is, we know you're all Patriots in Indiana, Liberty City. And again, try to visit at night. They're funny. Oh, I don't know, Javier. I think football guys, some of them probably, and some maybe not. I mean, it depends on how much they're still watching and paying attention. Like Cowher's still, he's an older guy now. You respect his opinions, but he's still in the game. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I would say most of them. certainly when it comes to the locker room. But, I got someone tweeting at me yesterday that the game has passed Cowher by, or not Cowher, Tomlin by. Where is it here? He retweeted something that John Frisella said about the day of the rah-rah head coach is done. Okay. Can't you be both? Basically that Pete Carroll's days are done. I don't think it was Pete Carroll's fault per se that they were bad. They overestimated the talent they had.
Sure. Yeah, he lives in Southwest Florida now. Javier.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till we're out of here. Pat Kerwin and JP Shadrick on the show tomorrow. Pat's having to move up his Friday appearance a day because he's got things going on. So we'll have Pat Kerwin and JP Shadrick tomorrow. So there.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
David, we start today in 1690.
Wow.
And this is specifically for your wife, so I want you to listen so you can tell her later.
Okay.
Today in 1690, in Nuremberg, Germany, the clarinet was invented.
No, she was the flute. I was the clarinet.
That's my bad. She was the flute because she was an excellent musician, right? Like a really good. Is it a flutist?
Yeah, I don't know. Flautist.
Flautist. I think you're right. Flautist.
But yes, she yes.
Like she was good.
No, she was got a music scholarship to a music school.
Right.
Yeah. Full ride, by the way.
Yeah.
By the way, gave it back 4 days in. Called her dad and said, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. How about that phone call? Okay. College is paid for. Out of school, out of state tuition, paid for. 4 days in, call home and go, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore.
This one shocked the hell out of me from when it was done. The first successfully performed C-section was today. It was done by Dr. Jesse Bennett. The patient was his wife, and it was done in 1794.
Holy smackers.
Right.
What?
Right.
Oh, my goodness.
1943, FDR traveled from Miami to Morocco to meet with Churchill. He was the first U.S. president to travel overseas by airplane.
What year?
43.
Okay.
52. The Today Show premiered on NBC.
By the way, I'm just going to throw this out there. Think about how dangerous that had to be for FDR. It's World War II going on.
Thank you.
And they're flying over to
Morocco from Miami.
Right.
Not that there wasn't anything going on in North Africa.
Right. I mean, think about it. Are you sure this isn't going to get shot down?
Thank
Right.
you.
Yeah. Hello.
Today in 54, the brief, volatile marriage of Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio happened.
Don't you love the one legendary story that came out of that? He accompanies her on some, she's going and basically just being Marilyn Monroe. I think she was going to visit the soldiers, and he accompanied her. And of course, thousands of screaming soldiers for Marilyn Monroe. And she turned and looked at him and said, something to the effect of, can you just imagine what a thrill it is to have, thousands of people just, cheering for you? And he looked right at her and said, yeah, I can only imagine.
Today in 56, as if we didn't know, but we certainly should have, Little Richard releases Tutti Frutti. I'll stop right there. Sonny and Cher released The Beat Goes On today in 67. Super Bowl II was today in 68. Green Bay beats Oakland 33-14. Today in 73, the Dolphins finished the perfect season, beating the Redskins 14-7. Also today in 73, it wasn't aired live in the U.S. It was aired live in Asia. Elvis, Aloha from Hawaii via satellite. It was broadcast live in Asia on delay to Europe and the U.S. It became the most watched broadcast by an individual entertainer. Today in 76, couple of things. First off, Ted Turner became the CEO of the Atlanta Braves. And Lindsay Wagner debuts on ABC as the Bionic Woman.
Oh, my goodness.
We already had the $6 Million Man, so then we had the Bionic Woman. In other bad television news, today in 77, believe Friday night at 10, David, the debut, Friday night or Saturday night? I think Friday night. The debut of Fantasy Island.
Oh, Saturday.
That's what it was, Saturday. Love Boat.
Oh, because Friday night was this Dallas night.
Okay. So yeah, Saturday night.
Saturday it was Love Boat, Fantasy
Island.
Yep.
The Sex Pistols played what would be their final concert today in 1978 at the Winterland Ballroom in San Francisco. Today in 79, a couple of things. Carter proposed MLK Day be a federal holiday. MLK's birthday be a federal holiday. And for boxing fans out there, for those of you old enough to remember when it was actually a sport, today in 79, Wilfred Benitez won the WBC welterweight crown in a 15-round split decision over Carlos Palermo. He became a two-division champion. He was 20 years old.
He was amazing. That's who Sugar Ray would end up beating to win his first title.
Today in 84, on American Bandstand, this little-known singer named Madonna debuted her single Holiday. When Dick Clark asked her what she wanted to do, she said to rule the world. Well, she kind of did for a while.
Came close.
Letterman announced he was moving from NBC to CBS today in 93. And it was 2 years ago that Dan Campbell leads the Lions to their first playoff win since 1991. When are we going to say that about the Dolphins? Mark Antony, Benedict Arnold, and Carl Weathers would have all celebrated birthdays today. Faye Dunaway's 85. LL Cool J is 58. David Grohl and Jason Bateman are both 57 years old today. What did I miss, David?
The only thing I had, which I thought you were going to get to because you had a lot of music in Today Was the Day When. Today in 1970, at a Vegas casino, was the very last performance of Diana Ross and the Supremes.
I left that in case your mom was listening and you wanted to do it. That's her thing.
I've already texted to Pat because on Wednesday on his show, it's Motown Wednesday. And so I've already texted him and said, make sure somebody plays some Diana Ross and the Supremes. Here's your tidbit.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What do you got, Mark?
Look, there's not a lot of fun watching the news, and it's one of the reasons that I really don't. But this is my favorite news story going on. It's not necessarily good, but I've known about it for 2 days, and I've been trying to figure out how to get it into the show. We go to St. Louis, where multiple monkeys are on the loose. Have you heard about this, David?
No.
The vervet monkeys were spotted Thursday in a park. And now the city's having a hell of a time tracking down the monkeys. They have no idea who owns them, how they got loose, and how many there are. But AI is really messing with authorities because people are posting all kinds of pictures of themselves with the monkeys. The problem is the pictures are all AI generated right now. So in St. Louis, beware the monkey. Apparently they can be a little violent. You're not supposed to go near it. Love monkeys on the loose. I'm sorry. I really do. We had that in South Carolina for a while. All those monkeys got out of that place.
Right.
For the bad, we go to Collier County, where a homeowner went out to the garage in the morning and realized that there were no cars in the garage. When he went to bed, there were two. Michael Sink stole both vehicles while the man and his wife were asleep in the home. Apparently, he stole a black Hyundai, and 2 hours later, deputies located the vehicle, but he fled. They didn't catch him. Then he went and got the other car at the home. Apparently, before he got the car, he went for a dip in the pool, took off all his clothes, went swimming, went in the house through the slider, grabbed a wallet and the keys, took the other car, and after a chase through both Collier and Lee County, was arrested by authorities. And finally, the ugly, we go to Miami, where Denisha Octavia Woods faces charges of battery with a deadly weapon. The 38-year-old was taken into custody on Wednesday after she was linked to a large fight in a park. The woman, who's known through her Facebook profile as, wait for it, Juicy Booty, was arrested after threatening juveniles and adults in a street ball with a baseball bat. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Wednesday, January the 14th, and it's brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department, hiring new officers, offering great pay, great benefits, other jobs available. All information can be had at capecops.com. That's capecops.com. System went 1-2 last night, David.
Well, the system is
busy tonight.
A lot of pressure tonight. I've got 5 system plays tonight.
And some of them are going to damn near have to be outright winners. There's a couple of them, like North Carolina is a 2.5-point favorite at Stanford. You hate those kind of games, but we shall see.
Well,
but
I'll tell you what,
total system games.
I've got it at 3.5. So go search, let's get the best numbers we can. Here, unbeaten Vandy on the road at Texas. Vandy given 5.5. We saw what happened to Iowa State last night in Kansas. Illinois, 8.5-point favorite at Northwestern. Tonight, there's 2 of them. Michigan at Washington. Michigan, can they cover 12.5? Can Duke cover 12.5 at Cal?
So 5 system plays for the record, 19-15 on the positive side for the system season long. We are keeping track. I guess we probably should. We've only been bragging about this for 8 years.
7 NBA games, the ESPN double dip. Cleveland and Philly at 7. And then you got Denver and Dallas at 9:30. 7 and 9:30, the ESPN NBA doubleheader tonight. Hockey, only 4 games, but there is a TNT double dip. When's the last time the Sabres were nationally televised? Philly at Buffalo's the 7:30 game on TNT. Vegas and the Kings are the 10 o'clock game on TNT.
Your Rangers are at home against Ottawa. Don't you just go the other way and bet the under?
Have to. They've won like 4 home games all year. It's
Unbelievable.
January.
It's unbelievable. Like the Avs have not lost a regulation game at home so far this year. I think they're 17-0-3 at home, which is flipping remarkable. But the fact that the Rangers are that bad at home is equally remarkable.
Rangers, the worst team in the East right now. The only team below 500 in the whole Eastern Conference is the New York Rangers. You know, I don't know if we knew this going into the games. I think it was Monday night, but we probably should have thrown a shekel or two on the Maple Leafs at Colorado. Did you see the jerseys the Avs wore for the Maple Leafs game?
Yeah, they wore the Nordiques jerseys. They were great.
Well, the jerseys are great, but they shouldn't be wearing them.
Oh, stop it.
Oh,
Carolina want to wear Hartford. That's fine. It's their team. Stop it.
Right. Okay.
Stop
so
it.
You're okay if the Thunder wear Sonic stuff?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Seth wouldn't be. I could care less.
All right. Fine. So it doesn't bother you when the Titans wear the Oilers stuff?
No.
Okay. All right.
That one's a little different because I think the Texans should be able to wear it because they have a team again.
Right.
So that one, I don't want to say it bothers me, but there should be an agreement that the Houston Texans get to do the throwbacks. Interesting. The old Houston fan really enjoyed the fact that they beat the Steelers. There's a lot of old AFC Central animosity there between those two teams. If you're old and you were an Oilers fan, that victory meant maybe just a little more to you.
They still begrudge the Mike Barber touchdown, which was called incomplete. I don't blame them. It's a nearly 50-year-old grudge. If any two guys can respect it, it's Miller and Moulton.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for details.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332516.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
This is Miller and Moulton